Hello and welcome to episode 85 of the Bonehead Podcast, where we talk all things Blood Bowl. Welcome back. I'm Ben, and once again I'm joined by Blood-Tithe Ben. How you doing, BT?
Hello, I'm live from
Hell.
Oblivion. I think I was going to go.
Oh, Oblivion. Let's go even deeper. No, Ben is in process of moving house, and just threw up a very creative background involving red USBs to set some serious mood lighting. And now he looks like he's
dark. It's like I don't have the usual lights, and then Ben was like, "Oh, can you put something in the background?" And I thought, "I'll give it a go."
Yeah, it just looks like you're. It looks like you're a DM now. It looks like we're about to have an RPG sesh.
That is the dream. Oh, absolutely. It needs to kind of change with the theme. You know, like this could be like combat. Yeah. This is good.
I think we need to look at like some coloured lighting for some of the filming stuff we do, especially if we go back to using some of the RPG room stuff at Entoyment. Because, I mean, there's some cool stuff to do there. Anyway, it's podcast time, Ben. What are we talking about on 85?
Today we're going to talk about, we're just going to have a chat about stalling, but before that, we've got a cool interview with Brutefun, the sculptor. Which you interviewed. I was not there for that, but it's a really good conversation, so we've got that coming up too.
Wicked. Yeah, no, Brutefun is the chap who sculpted that Black Orc team that we featured on Print to Pitch, and has also dropped a Lizardman team. It's been kind of drip feeding the models out, but actually the whole team and some star players came out yesterday. I've not had a chance to print them yet, on account of actually working quite hard the last couple of days, which is overrated. So yeah. Should be a fun episode. We've actually got some Blood Bowl news to talk through as well, so let's go straight into that. Over to news. So there's some Blood Bowl news. We have talked about it. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast actually. 10th of January. We can't have talked about it on the podcast. But 10 days ago, 2 new Goblin star players were spoiled on the Warhammer community. So they are absolutely hammering out the star players at the moment.
Really coming out fast and coming out pretty good too. Can't really complain.
I don't hate any of them actually.
Yeah.
I don't hate any of them. Anyway, Fungus the Loon and Bomber Dribble Snot. Bomber Dribble Snot is a bomber who potentially dribbles snot, and then we've got Fungus the Loon, who is a fanatic, which is a big ball and chain wielding goblin. Now. We knew that Fungus the Loon was landing, didn't we, at some point, Ben? Because we'd seen the art.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, so let's talk about the model. He's in the classic swinging around the massive ball and chain pose for goblins. It's a Night Goblin aesthetic as opposed to, I don't know, what's not Night Goblin? Regular Goblin, I guess.
Goblin.
Yeah. They really let the side down with that, didn't they?
Yeah.
Even in Lord of the Rings, you've got Mordor orcs, and you've got Morannon orcs, and then you've got Red orcs.
Yeah, it's kind of. I guess they have forest goblins, right? That's like
there's forest goblins. There's just generic Wolf Rider goblins. Anyway, back in my day, Wolf Riders were also Night Goblins because they have the hoods. Anyway, this guy's got a Night Goblin style hood. I'm not going to read into it and get excited and think that there's going to be a Night Goblin team coming. But if they did and happen to have squigs, I would win a bet. So that would be okay. So BT, what do you reckon to the Fungus the Loon model?
I think he's really cool. Really super cool. I think the ball is really interesting. Like they haven't just gone for like a metal ball here. They've kind of gone for, they painted it red. The spikes looking really menacing. I think it looks quite cool. Like color wise, it's very like new Blood Bowl.
The paint job's great.
Yeah, and they've got popcorn on the bottom, which is really kind of a fun little touch.
I don't
really know the purpose. Is it for stability? Does it like?
Yeah, I think that's a part of the model because it's got like a tuft of grass and like an earth mound. So I think you're right, Ben. I think it's just to increase like the touch point. Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's weird because they've not done that in the past in any way, shape, or form. But this is definitely a mound on the base, and the popcorn is a really cool addition.
I like that.
But you're right. I mean, I think the Forge World painting's got a lot better.
It has. We've seen some pretty like sketchy ones in the past. But
Yeah.
all these new models are actually, they look fantastic.
Like this
Like,
one,
we'll touch on another article later where you kind of see them all together, and they look really good.
yeah, like this has been painted by somebody who looks like they actually wanted to paint the model. Like they've got checkers on there, they've got stripes on the hat, like they've got scratches on the ball, which I'm assuming is not on the model. So
I'm getting paid by the hour rather than paid by the model, I think. So.
maybe, even the fade on the red. I know this isn't Wet Wednesday, but the fade on the red shoulder pad, it's really good. The edge highlighting. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's a cool model. Is it any different or better than the current Fnatic model? Like, this guy doesn't, I think, look like a star player, but Fungus doesn't need to. He's just another loony. He's just another Fnatic, really, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, the one I used for Fungus is the Underworlds one with the guy. He's like drinking
the potion.
I think. Yeah, and
such a good model. That's such a good model.
Yeah, that's perfect. So this personally won't replace it because I think I'm more than happy to just use that. Yeah, but it's just really cool if you're looking for an alternative. It's just probably going to cost more than the Underworlds team.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I was like, the Underworlds team is probably like £18, and you get squigs as well, which will be really useful when the squig team comes out.
You still buy this Underworld team?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if they include cards now as well. I don't know. Underworlds they've Games Workshop all over it, so I don't really know. It was a cool game until they repped it. Anyway, we've also got Bomber Dribblesnot, who is the Bombardier. He's full of not Thanksgiving, Independence Day, July 4th, firecrackers and bombs. This dude's got an absolute arsenal on him, along with some interesting goggles and the nose armor. Like goblins, are their noses particularly fragile?
I would assume so. It's kind of like their 95% nose, so it's probably just center mass for these guys.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's cool. It's a bomber. If you lined this one up with the one from the standard team and said, "Hey, which is the star player?" I'd guess this guy because he's got more bombs. He's got more armor as well, because the Bombardier from the Goblin pack is just running around with the ball like proper Mario style, isn't he? I mean, what do you reckon to Bomber?
I think he's awesome. Yeah, he looks super sinister, super full of character. This is like your Goblin, so yeah, really, really cool. Looks like where Fungus has the kind of board presence, he is kind of a small Goblin, so he might not quite give the star player kind of pitch impact that Fungus might, but otherwise he looks a really nice model.
What do you think the likelihood here is of these guys coming in a packet together?
I was going to say that. I reckon they will. They're releasing them at the same time. Like, they're sharing an article. I think, financially, it's probably better for them to pack them together. Just otherwise, it might have to end up charging 20 quid each, and then that's a lot to spend on a Goblin. Well, so you might end up with a slightly better deal than you normally would. But
I think if they went the route of charging, was it £19-20 each? If they went that route, everybody would just buy the special weapons pack instead.
Yes.
For half the price and an extra chainsaw as well for when Nobbler comes out. I don't know. They're cool. This is hilarious because the Goblin team is like the most expensive team to buy into, with the exception of Renegades. So and now, I mean, we've got to assume, in the before times, in the long ago, these guys were ubiquitous, right? Maybe not Bomber as much, because Nobbler was kind of like a better deal, but Fungus the Loon was like an auto buy for most Goblin teams, because why the heck would you not? For less, it's just another one of the best players on the Goblin team, really with Mighty Blow. Absolutely awesome piece. So we don't actually have the stats, so we don't know exactly what these guys do, but they do have two special powers. So Fungus the Loon has got Whirling Dervish. Once by activation, Fungus may re-roll the d6 when determining which direction he moves in. So That is literally for when you move a ball and chain, you put the throwing template you point it in a direction, in one of the 4 cardinal directions, and then roll the dice, and it will move into that square. It will block anybody standing in that square, and it will roll armor against anybody not standing in that square, so friend or foe. So ball and chains are awesome. They're just awesome. And in the olden days, this guy had movement 4. I think it's very likely then he's going to have movement 4 as well. And he also had Mighty Blow, and that's why he was an auto buy. Is because the standard Goblin Fanatic, movement 3, no Mighty Blow. This guy, movement 4, Mighty Blow, is an extra block, and all of those blocks are +1 to the armor rolls, which made him so useful. I mean, did you ever run Fungus with your Goblin team, or did you just...
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah, in League especially.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just such an easy buy, and just, pick on the line of scrimmage, he does stuff.
Yeah, and
every game.
And if he dies, you don't even care, because he's an inducement.
Exactly. Yeah, often I would have Fungus instead of the actual Fanatic, so yeah.
It works great.
Yeah, it's really good. I also really like abilities like this, where it's once per activation. That just is like a straight up all the time buff that's always working. Like, you're not... I feel like the once per game ones are really prone to like being forgotten. I know we've had that a lot in tournaments before, where people are taking these stars and just like, oh yeah, they can do that at the end of the game. Yeah, so this is just like every time, you're not really going to forget it because you're doing it so often, and it's just a really big power boost.
It's a huge buff. Like, I did the maths on Theory Thursday last week, because, dude, we've all been there. The ball and chain guy, he just runs a circle around the one person you're trying to hurt, and then you end up rushing extra squares, and then you end up killing yourself because you're like, you can't hit that 1 in 3 chance repeatedly. At least this guy kind of just gets a little bit more accurate. And I think it's great. I think we'll see him at 80k. I think he'll be movement 4, and I think he'll be Mighty Blow, because that's how he was in the old edition, and the star players in this edition have got better for the most part, and cheaper for the most part. With the exception of Barrack Farblast, bless him, with strong arm, getting ready to throw those tiny people. Then we got Bomber Dribble Snot once per game. There you go, Ben, your favourite. If an opposition player catches a bomb thrown by Bomber, you can choose to have it explode immediately rather than roll to see if the player can throw it again.
I see. No, this is a good exception to that, because I think this is awesome. Because this is where, like, once per game, this is fine. I don't think you're going to forget this one. Because catching a bomb is like, I was going to say it's rare, but it's not even that rare. It happens actually quite often, isn't it? But I just think this is so good, so much fun. Like the remote detonation, that's exactly what you want. Like when they catch it, instead of thinking, "Oh no," you'll be like, "That's to be you."
Old school Joker mode. Yeah, and this is it. Like, you look about throwing the bomb, you try and throw it to an empty square next door to your target, really, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, when you've got Bomber, you've got no fear. You can be like, hey, World Dancer, I'm going to throw this at you, and it's going to explode. You can fail to catch it, or you can catch it, but I'm going to throw this at your square, and it is going to explode. And there is nothing you can do about it. And that is pretty big, because when you throw a bomb, anybody who's in the square that the bomb goes off in, they don't have to roll 4+. It's just auto. Yeah. So, with the exception of deflection, Bomber can just bomb that bomb right into the target bomb square and bomb everyone in it. And it's going to be... I'm big on bombers at the moment. I think they're great. Both in Blood Bowl and just, Aerodautica Imperialis. Because,
Okay, I'm glad you specified a game.
Yeah, just in general. Like, I love cheeky B-52. Actually, to be fair, it's the B2 Spirit, the stealth bomber. That's just a piece of kit. It's so good, man. I've been watching loads of UFO documentaries, and they're all like, well, is it a UFO or is it a plane? And I'm like, well, it's round. That thing is a literal triangle. Like, yeah, it's a UFO. No, it's not. Anyway, Bomber could be cool as well. I mean, I think he was like 60k or something in the last edition.
Yeah, really cheap. Was he...
was he like 40?
I was thinking he might have been 40, but...
Yeah, maybe.
I think I might be misremembering that.
The new Goblin Bombardier is 45k.
Okay.
So I think we'll see Bomber land at something like 60. That's my guess. And you know what? Even then, it is good to go. So this is the interesting thing. So both players can be signed by any Badlands Brawl or Underworld Challenge team. So Black Orcs, Goblins, Ogres, Orcs, Skaven, and Snotlings. But also, I've got a sneaky suspicion. So, I mean, that's an excellent mixture of teams there. I mean, you've got the goblins, which is going to be standardized. But I mean, what else are we looking at? But can you see Black Orcs running either of these guys, Ben?
Totally, 100%. I think Fungus on a Black Orc team is actually pretty solid. It's like a big distraction, to be honest, and Black Orcs can use that pretty well. So
I think
you can grab into the path of Fungus and just watch him go crazy.
I think the Black Orc inclusion of Fungus is potentially the most interesting here. Black Orcs get half price bribes as well. So basically, like, for him at 80 plus a bribe at 50, 130k, he might be worth taking instead of the troll in a tournament if you can afford it. Because the troll's great, but actually having access to that strength 7 piece, especially as like some of your Black Orcs are going to have skills in a tournament situation, so you're probably going to have like a couple of guard out there as well to help protect it. Because that's the biggest vulnerability of the ball and chain, is that someone just runs up and Roffle stomps it on a 2-die up, just wrestles him to the ground and he's gone. The other thing, man, I mean, Chaos Dwarves are actually Badlands Brawl. So Chaos Dwarf get both of these star players, which I think I missed from the original video when I had a look at it.
That's pretty big.
Yeah,
that's quite impactful. Again, these bash teams just love having these ball and chain, especially when they're cheap, because Chaos Dwarves are expensive. So having cheap cards is always good.
Yeah, I mean, with Hackflim going up in price, they do seem to be going for that little bit of star player pricing that's sub 100k. I mean, I think you and I have talked about inducements a load of times, and actually, when you get 100k or less, it's kind of like a nothing, isn't it? Like, you don't. Yeah. I guess I'll take a keg, But actually, it's like, well, if all these teams now have access to a bombardier and a ball and chain, well, then it's like, well, I might as well just take a ball and chain. Like, LOL, let's just run him around and see what we can do. And I'm very excited about the fact that the Skaven team can now run Fungus the Loon and the Verminator. So just absolute carnage there. Yeah. Fezglitch was the old ball and chain guy, and he was amazing for a Skaven team, because you can't, if you are down a couple of 100k, like, it's a really good way to take a Wandering Apothecary, and then you take Fezglitch, and then you've got a good bit of bash. So when you're playing uphill against dwarves or a bashy team for Skaven, it's a really tough sitch. But actually being able to take that Fanatic is going to definitely get them to deploy off the line, and you're going to have the extra Apothecaries. It is a bit of an equaliser. And in this edition, we're seeing that more from inducements, I think, than in the last edition. Because, I mean, I wouldn't have considered the inducements much of an equaliser in the old game.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's kind of a bonus.
Except for the wizard, of course.
Yeah. Old Bomber was 60k.
Oh, really? Okay, well, there you go.
It was 60. Yeah, you're right.
I think we'll see the new Bomber stick about that. My guess is that it'll be passing 4+ with accurate. Because
that would be good. That would be nice. Yeah.
Makes it better than passing 3+, kind of. It's weird. The way the interaction works is that past 3+ with accurate is kind of better than past 4+ with accurate is kind of better than past 3+, because you can't wildly inaccurate it on a short pass because of the way the +1/-1 works. So having accurate is better, but you can throw bombs as long as you like. So Cannoneer is also a very legit skill for a bombardier.
Yeah. Have an extra modifier to those long range bombs.
Exactly. Just
kind of like old Hail Mary bombs, because they're not quite the same, are they?
Oh, Hail Mary. R.I.P.
That. Yeah.
F in chat. Yeah. Sad times. Okay, next bit of Blood Bowl news is a very, very quick one. The Rat Ogre is going up for pre-order this week. The new Rat Ogre that absolutely smacks of Windsor Chog then.
Yes. Yeah, we love this ogre. The chains, man. The chains are Chog chains. I'd pick those out anywhere. Absolute
Choggers chains. Yeah, big fists and big bit of definition. It's a cool model. Going to be coming from Forge World, this one. Middle-sized model, so I don't think it's going to be the same price as Zolcath. I think this one's going to be in the £30 mark, same as the Verminator. I think the Verminator was about 30 quid.
Is that right?
Yeah, and you know what? I think the chainmail's been done really well. Again, this is a really nice paint job. Like,
Yeah, very nice.
it's not award winning, but it is very good. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'd be mega chuffed to paint this well. So yeah,
I don't know, man. With your airbrush, you're not far off. I don't think.
yeah, get a bit of red on that flesh. These are really good. Like, really nice blends, really nice. Well, obviously we're not really selling the paint job, are we? But
No, that's the truth. Yeah.
yeah,
Would it paint well with
it'll
contrasts?
paint up. Yeah, it'll paint up brilliant.
That's the main kind of thing. And the other thing Ben kind of mentioned is that the star players download free rules for some of Blood Bowl's most dangerous star players. So, in a kind of illogical order, Games Workshop dropped the new Goblin star players, and then like the next day or something, a few days later, dropped a page where you could download star players rules, but not the Goblin ones. So you got the Verminator, you've got Scylla, you've got Max, and you've got Frank, teeny tiny Frank, you've got Barrack Farblast and Wilhelm Chaney, and all their rules are available for download there, which is actually quite good. That's quite progressive, I think, at Games Workshop.
Yeah, no, it's nice to see. Just here's some stuff, not here's a pack of cards that will print for 3 days and you miss out. Sucks to be you.
Yeah.
On Google Images. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's nice to be able to get the rules without having to go and watch one of our videos, I guess.
Yeah.
which may not endear us to Games Workshop all that much, but yeah. So you can go there and get the star players rules, which is interesting because I don't know whether they're leaning into the fact that people just aren't necessarily buying the star players, because the massive majority of Blood Bowl is not played with a Games Workshop only restriction on a Games Workshop only premises. And Creek Rustgouger is a wicked model, and if you want to paint it as like a cool treat for yourself, then it's awesome. Otherwise, there's much cheaper, I wouldn't say better, but there's much different ways to get a Creek Rustgouger model, for example, or a Wilhelm Chaney model, and actually them sharing the rules. I wonder if it's kind of like an acknowledgement to the fact that actually, or they're just, I don't know, Ben, or are they just being like good citizens and saying, here, you can download?
I think maybe this is just a case of, this is a good thing Games Workshop have done where it's free. It's actually free. So, yeah, just take it. Good job, Games Workshop. Want to see more of this. More of this, please.
Yeah. Cool. Now we got a Kickstarter. I think just the one Kickstarter, which is from so this is Big Green Ones, a fantasy football team of evil orcs. This is an STL team, and it is from Cross Lances. And we've seen quite a few bits of Cross Lances over the years. I mean, the Leprechaun team is probably the most famous one. I think that was kind of their first big thing into it. Now, this is a really interesting team because it's supposed to be like an ogre team, but it's also an orc team.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're the big green things. They are not the normal style that you would see for Blood Bowl. They're quirky. I'm not a fan of this style, actually. I like what they're doing, and they executed it brilliantly. But their heads are just a bit big. It just looks a bit peculiar.
I kind of know what you mean. Yeah, like they're well made. It's just an odd style. Some of them have, I can't tell, are they mouth guards or are they just really big mouths? That's something I can't quite tell on some of them.
Yeah, no, that's their jaws. That's their actual jaws.
Is it? Okay. Yeah, so some of them they are quite disproportionate, which might actually appeal to some people for sure. They really like, and again, the sculpting quality is phenomenal. Yeah, I am with you. The style is a little bit off for me.
Now, he actually does say this in one of the updates or something like this. He said like the style is not to everybody's liking, but I wanted to do it because I thought it was fun. And actually, you know what? I love that. I think that's awesome. Like, I do think it's great when someone's like, no, this is not like, everybody's not going to love this, and I know it, and that's okay, because some people will, and I do.
Yeah.
We were looking for a new idea to create welcome pack for our Patreon and tribe supporters, and decided to create this team of evil ogres. Then we thought, why not make it accessible to everybody? So it's an interesting one.
I like that approach though. Like they've made something that they want that you know, they're like, this is what I want to do, and then they have the opinion of, you know, maybe, you know, other people have expressed interest in my stuff. Let's make it available, which we'll, you know, hear later with the chat with the sculptor. And yeah, and I mean, it's kind of clear from the goal. They've put a goal of £66, which has obviously been smashed tenfold. So
Yeah.
it's I'm really, you know, I'm really happy about this. This is really cool. It's not like they're saying, you know, you need this. It's saying, here are some options. Do you want them? Have them.
£3 for the team for
Free.
STLs. £3. Big green ones.
Exactly. There you go.
£5 for the printing rights. This is really interesting. This is a really interesting one because they've just they've made this team that they want to share with their guys, and instead of just putting it on My Mini Factory or Colts 3D, they've gone, let's create some buzz. Let's do this as like a big release, and we can release it at the same sort of time. It's an interesting one. Cross Lances loves the Kickstarters. They did the Angry Disney Princesses as well. Like,
yeah.
So their ability to execute this kind of stuff is, I don't know, it's excellent. They know what they're doing.
I have 142 backers of the recording, so clearly, you know, it's getting.
I'm pretty sure Trips was straight in there because he really does love Cross Lance's stuff. And the orcs, I mean, they are quite cool. They look like Scarons from Farscape. I don't know if you ever watched Farscape, Ben.
That's a reference gone right over my head, I'm afraid.
Oh, man. Farscape was amazing. It was a sci-fi by like the Jim Henson company.
Oh, okay.
And it was just wicked. Anyway, these Scarons were just these kind of like big-headed lizard people that breathe fire, and it's absolutely the vibe I get from these guys. A couple of the models are cool, and you know what? For £3, there's going to be one of those guys that you can print out and be happy with. That's just really cool. That's just really interesting to me. And the last bit of news that we've got is that, the Brutefun Lizardman team has been released. And I don't know if you had a chance to kind of look at the models, Ben, for this.
Oh, yeah. These are incredibly good.
So the Lizardman team bundle, STL, is $17.50. 10 skinks, 2 chameleons. This is a skink team. Oh, this is the little lizards. So 10 skinks, 2 chameleons, 2 lizard star players, and the Croxagore for $17.50. The full team is available for £28 and has a Lizardman star player, but it's got 6 Saurus blockers, but they've all got alternate heads as well, so it's kind of 24 different guys. But the Crocs is a beast, and there's so many different parts to it. You got 4 different heads, 2 different arms, 2 different tail pieces as well. It's really cool. This is the guy I want to get on the print plate because I love a Croxagore. But I mean, this is kind of spoilers because we've got the interview coming up, you know, after Hobby, but it was that other little lizards pack is out there so that people can buy a skink team for Fumble Secret League, which is just one of my favorite things. It's just absolutely wicked. Like, really love it. And if you were into 3D printing, this is a wicked team. The Black Orcs that he did are amazing, and I am really excited to print this team off and do a print to pitch for it because I just like it. It's quite similar in design in some ways to the Games Workshop one, and the really cool thing is when you listen to the interview with John, you'll understand why, and I think it's a really cool reason. Anyway, I'm not going to spoil that too much, but as it comes to Blood Bowl news, Ben, I believe that's everything on the list. Let's just double check the list. Again. Cool. Which case, I know it's good. Pretty busy week. So, just 2 things to say for us. Massive thank you to all of our viewers and listeners and patrons who support the show. Ton of new patrons this time round. We've got William Kelly, Emma Sweet, Jacob Garr, Torma, Trazer, Rick Hasselhurst, know that guy, Simon Taylor, Jim Callahan, Ian Bauman, Daniel Davenport, Simon Bolth, Antoine Herbert, Joseph McGibbon, William Mueller, and Aaron Gibbon. I think I might have mentioned a couple of those before, but no, thank you very much to all of our patrons that help support the show. And it's 4 weeks till Beachhead. It's going to be 3 weeks this Saturday. We've got the prizes on the way, the dice are on the way. Do need to get the trophies ordered. Actually, I'll do this weekend, Ben. I'll run some by you, but we're going to get some really flashy we got a nice chunk of budget for our prizes and everything. So, and we got on the way to 100 people on the Saturday signed up, and 60 odd I think on the Sunday for sevens as well. So, and the tickets are still available. So if you're interested in coming to what will be a massive Blood Bowl event inside a gaming convention, just come on. Get your ticket booked up because it's going to be really good fun. And it's going to be a case of rosters coming up soon. So we'll put a big post out when the due date is coming, which will be at the end of next week. So probably put a little reminder post out on social media this week so that people can get our rosters in. And the reason we want them in so early is so that we can try and save time for the morning, because if you've got like 100 coaches coming, you want to make sure that actually rosters are checked and that everything's good to go, because it's going to be insane, Ben.
I can't wait. What's the plan for the night on the town? That's the important thing.
That's a good point, actually. There's still some hotel rooms, so I need to book us one. They've got the hotel across the way for gaming on the Saturday evening. So
that'd be so good. We'll try and get some it'd be good to try and do some like board games or something like that in the evening. Have some like drinks and some really casual games.
I think
it'd be good fun.
I think we could definitely get that on the go. Should be great. It's just going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. And your house date's kind of different now, isn't it? It was going to be like the Monday after. Yeah, is that right?
That's when. Yeah, no, okay. So we'll be moving a week after recording today, and then, but I thought it was going to be another 2 weeks.
Oh, that's good.
So I thought I was going to clash a beachhead, but it's okay. It's all good. Stress over.
That would have been carnage.
That's worry about.
Absolute carnage. Anyway, that's it for Blood Bowl news. Let's move on for a quick hobby catch up. Okay, so it's hobby time. BT, this is really your segment to shine. What's been going on in hobby world?
I've actually painted a fair amount. Doesn't feel like it. Actually, is it a fair amount? I don't know. I've done a few things. We had another really good stream last week, so that was really good fun. So if you're listening and you want to tune into just a hobby hangouts, we're starting to do those every other Thursday. So we usually record the podcast on a Thursday, and on the week that we don't record, we'll be streaming instead. Just painting. Won't be doing that the Thursday after this comes out because everything will be in a box ready to go.
Yeah.
So I may have to give that one a miss.
I think I'm gonna pick up the slack for you that time because I've got my Chaos Dwarf team.
Then just
got my Chaos Dwarf team
I'll pop in with a voice,
to paint. That'd be cool because I've got an entire team to paint. So I was like, actually, I can fit that one in. But no, you've been doing a great job getting big red painted last week. The big red truck. So it's awesome.
Yeah, so I've done a bit of painting on that. I've got some 40k coming up soon, doing a sort of mini league with some friends with that. And yeah, did some gore. So if you want to see me absolutely, learn how to use Yoo-hoo glue,
it was cool.
Get some really good advice from the chat.
I was going to say it was great for the chat to talk us through, making some really great suggestions.
Yeah, so honestly, really good fun. It's just for a couple of hours every other Thursday. If you want to hang out and paint, that's good fun. Come and join us. So did that. I also made a start on my Conquest army. Last Argument of Kings. I got my first stand done, which I kind of have on the screen. And I'm pretty happy with it because I've been trying to I'm trying to do it to a time limit as well. So it's not the best thing I've painted, but I think looks okay, and I did it very quickly. So
when you say time limit, do you mean like per model, per stand kind of thing, or
like per the stand? I kind of wanted to spend no longer than kind of like hour per model.
Because even though the models are big, the units are not small, are they? So what is it, like 16 dudes in there?
12. You get 3 stands of 4 usually. It's like a regiment, and then you can double that up and add extra ranks.
So your primary army is the 100 Kingdoms, right? Which is essentially feudal knight kind of era, like 15th century stuff. Yeah, humans. So your army your army as it stands now, like how big is it? What level of amount of dudes is it, or have you got?
I don't really know the amount of points it is. I know that I have Um, 4 ranks, so 12 stands of militia, 6 of crossbowmen. Bear in mind, all these are times 4 because it's 4 guys to a stand.
Hang on, you've got 12 stands of militia.
Yeah, so 48 militia,
Ooh.
24 crossbowmen, 24 men at arms, 6 knights, and a lord on a horse. And the knights are freaking huge.
They are
This
chunky.
is 38mm, so they're big, and it's true scale. So the horses are huge. Because like in Warhammer scale, horses are pretty tiny for what they should be. You see a horse in real life, they're huge. So these are like big horses. Like especially there's one carrying a banner, which makes it like so large. So that's quite intimidating to paint. So yeah, there's that going, and I think that's mostly it.
Hang on, you haven't painted any Necrons?
I finished Necrons.
I just assumed by now you were doing it as like a hobby reflex. Like Alison just weird, finds you out in the garden spraying stuff silver, and she's like, "You okay, hun?" That's kind of how I assume it goes in your house.
I did go through so much silver and red paint doing that.
They looked amazing. The Necron army did look absolutely wicked.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. At least you're getting time to paint some stuff that you just kind of want to paint now, which is a great way to start the year.
I'm trying to make room for that.
I also managed to get 4 dudes painted. 2 I can't show off yet because it's their Kickstarter previews for February. I did get a test paint done of a Chaos Dwarf guy using my scheme that I used the random paint scheme generator for. I'm not massively happy with the green. I need to find a way to make the green better. I've painted an awful lot of green, it being my favourite colour, but it is mostly drab green because of tanks. So I don't know how to paint bright green. I need to learn. I don't want to go moot green because that's offensive. So I have enough with compliance stuff at work. I don't need a high-vis team. So yeah, skip that. So got him done. Got the Torchlight Dwarf painted, and the Torchlight Dwarf team, man, they are cartoony, but they are wonderful to paint. They paint themselves because the details are so kind of. It looks like they've sculpted a dwarf team and then used the posterized filter to just make them like cartoony and have strong edges. So they basically paint themselves. So that's been wicked. And I got next week's print projects done, which is cool. And yeah,
I'm on fire with this print to pitch stuff is like I'm seeing you paint more than ever.
Yeah,
I mean, and that is saying a lot because you are the sort to like, oh, I need a team painted for a video tomorrow. I'll just smash that out in two hours. It's no big deal.
Well, I did paint the tree man really cool for our game on Tuesday.
I didn't even know you just painted that up.
Yeah, it was undercoated before. I mean, when you got a tree man, you just undercoat it, and then if it's already undercoated brown, you just need to shade it and add some details. It was not a great job, but it was good enough for YouTube for that game. So yeah, I got the tree man done as well. I couldn't find my flock, so the base is bare, and that really upsets me, as I don't know where my flock is. I've got a great little jug of sand here, but I don't know what I did with the grass stuff. Which means
if you need it.
No, it means somewhere there's a little baggie that looks like drugs. So that's always.
We've all got those as well.
Yeah.
It's just like
it's always.
What's that? Oh no, it's just home flock.
Yeah,
it actually is just home flock.
Yeah, that's for my train set, basically. Yeah, no, the print to pitch thing has just been a way of like actually painting a dude, like print it off, paint a guy. It's been really nice. Like I'll be chilling with Tiff or just watching some YouTube while she's busy or something, just taking an hour and a half a week to just sit down and paint a model. It's doing wonders for my zen. Like it's actually really nice. Like that's my right, I need to paint a dude, and this is it. I know that you and Trips were both like, Ben, like you're busy as heck, why are you starting a new series? Like I'm like, because this is my way of forcing myself to take time to stop and paint something, because it is for content, and I'm loving it. Like the next one I'm doing is really it's not Blood Bowl models, so the team is made from stuff that's not for Blood Bowl, and that's kind of like why that's another reason I wanted to start doing this thing, is because there's a bunch of stuff out there you can use that isn't for Blood Bowl. That's good fun. It's just been good fun. But yeah, that's it. Brilliant. Have I painted anything else? I printed some stuff. I'll never paint it, but I printed it. It'll just sit in the little box of grey.
That's the case.
Yeah. Oh, Craig and Iron Man Rick have been talking about epic heresy, which is
Oh yes.
really dangerous. It started because we got an
I mean, even when we came to yours to record the game on Tuesday, and I saw like these tiny space marines, and I was like, Ben, what is this? There's some crisis suits. I'm sure that's not heresy.
Oh no, that was it's completely separate. I was just like, oh yeah, Tau, great. It might be cool to make little heavy job. You know, I've got space on the print plate. That's exactly what I mean. Like, I'll just put some stuff on there, and I could be like, look, I've got this model, and it will just go in a box, which is a shame. But if I want to paint bright yellow, then the Tau scenes are there, and I was like, well, I might as well just see what other STLs have got. So then I printed some 8mm Terminators as well, just 5. Like old school Terminators, not the Cataphracti ones, just like straight out of the Space Hulk box set. I was like, I just want to paint a little stand with 5 red Terminators on. Just
they got to be Blood Angels, right?
Yeah, man.
Space Hulk stuff.
Bright red Terminators. I was like, that'd be really great. That'd be really cool. And they printed out okay, so it's all right. Although I've done that thing where there's a bit of a print on my plate for the last couple of days because I printed a little Link, like the dude from Zelda, for Sam, and the shield came off squiffy. But I didn't realise until after I'd like washed it and trimmed it and stuff, and I was taking off the supports. I was like, oh no. And by that time I'd put the next print on, and I'm too scared to go and check the print plate to see if that shield failed and if there was some stuff in the resin tray, so I just haven't been outside. I do need to go outside. So I need to print another Link for Sam. But yeah, so that's what's been going on in hobby. Games wise, not a chance. I did get to film a game with you, and it was great fun.
Yeah, it was a game.
It was a game.
Yeah, I won't spoil anything about the game, but it's definitely one to watch.
I don't think
new filming style, which is really fun.
Yeah, I thought it was good fun to try. I think it went all right actually. I edited the first half of it already, so that will go out to the patrons on Saturday. So I'll finish that off tomorrow night. Before Tiff gets back from work and we move on to Harry Potter movie 2. And yeah, I can get that. It's good. It's good. The game is great fun, and I had some of the camera shots I love. I'm just like so happy with it. So hopefully you guys will like that when it comes out on Sunday. What other games? You got any games in then?
No, none at all. Other than that, I haven't been able to get down to League, but you know, it's other things come up, but you know, we'll see what happens in the next coming weeks.
Yeah. I think that is about it for hobby. Although on the downside of us filming the way we did downstairs, Ben, I had to move the PC upstairs after, you know, because I needed it for work, okay? Even though I got 2 laptops, I use this PC for work because it's got a cool green screen setting. And then so we set it all up downstairs, and then I promised Tiff that if I could have you round to film, that I would tidy the dining room again. So I did, but in doing yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, please, if Ben comes round and films. She's like, yeah, but you know, don't mess up the dining room. I'm like, okay. Okay, I will be good. And I was good. Although when I was carrying the PC up the stairs, I slipped and fell down the stairs onto the PC tower unit. And this is a big boy, right? This is a heavy thing. Yeah, and I full on like speared myself in the side and then rolled down half my stairs. It was brutal. Like Tiff was asleep, and there was a loud enough noise that it wasn't a case of she was beyond, like, she went past the initial like anger at being woken up straight to concerned because I'd made so much noise she thought I died or something. I didn't scream.
Oh, God.
It was just like crunch, crunch, crunch. She was like, are you okay? And I was like, oh God, I woke you up. You don't look mad. And she was like, I'm not, I'm worried about you. I was like,
okay, now? Like, that sounds really painful.
It was brutal. I felt yesterday. I was like, I don't know, the chest, I thought I'd broken a rib because the way I landed on it. I've got this nice mark, but the chest is not been too bad. The back hurt for a bit. My back and neck caned yesterday. I was like, Nurofen Express, like Skittles. I miss Skittles. I buy some Skittles. And today I don't feel too bad, which was really nice. So I went for my my annual review. We went. So I met a manager in Winchester, which was really nice, and ended up doing a 9K walk. so which was
really
lovely.
working hard for that promotion.
Yeah, so it's just like, yeah, no, that's fine. I work from home. My back hurts. It's not too bad. It'd be nice to get out, go and have a look around. And then done 9 miles or something. I was like, human body's not built for this. I work from home now. The other day I had 320 steps, and I know that all of those were to the kettle.
It gets bad. It gets really bad. Like, I remember, I was about to say recently out of reflex. This wasn't recent at all. But there was a time where I thought, you know what, I should really go for a run. I'm sat at my desk. I roll out of bed, get on my desk, work at a computer, and then spend the evening painting or playing video games. So it's not great. I don't get a lot of mobility. And I went for a run, and I genuinely couldn't remember how. I was there trying to run, just is this how you run?
Yeah.
I felt like I was like a deer walking for the first time. It's really jarring how
it gets to the point you start looking around for Wally to come and just shame you.
Where's my chair?
Yeah, exactly. I want my chair. No, the worst thing is we've got this bike / CrossFit machine that we got during lockdown, and it's just in the shed. It's in the shed, and Incredible. It's just covered with empty resin bottles, and I'm like, this could not be more representative of my life. Here's my exercise apparatus, which is now used to store old bottles of resin. So I don't know. But there was I did want to talk about another thing, is that I got to go to Harry Potter World. Tiff and I, we had it booked in. The apocalypse struck. We got put back. The apocalypse returned. Got put back again. We finally got to go, and I went once before, when it first opened, and it was awesome. And we had butterbeer ice cream, and it was just amazing. We got to go around. Dude,
what makes things about the butterbeer? The
butterbeer is weird. It's not.
Okay.
It's not. When you get a cheap gummy sweet, a cheap gummy, and half of the gummy is a color, and the other half is that weird plastic white.
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking cheap Haribo here. Cheap Haribo fried egg. The white is gloss, and it shouldn't be, right? Well, the bubbles on top of butterbeer looked like that. It was so weird, and it was I don't know. To this day, I don't know. And Tiff loves everything. Generally speaking, apart from celery, she absolutely loves all food. And I was like, how's this? And she was like, I don't know if I like it. I think continued to drink the rest of it. I was like, so what do you reckon? You liked it in the end? Then she was like, I still don't know. But the ice cream was amazing. It was like a butterscotch Mr. Whippy. 10 out of 10 would recommend. I don't even know how much it was, because you got to be careful.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I was like, £16 for ice cream, please. At least it's not the cinema. Was kind of how I was thinking. But the next day I had to go out really early and buy Tiff the books, because I couldn't be bothered to hunt through storage for them. So she's rereading them. We're watching the movies again. We watched the first one the other day, and the dialogue is awful, and it makes me so happy. The aesthetic of the first Harry Potter film, it's really weird. Harry Potter talks like a posh old person, which is just outrageous. He's it's something like, I say, Hagrid, or how is one supposed to pay for this? It's really strange. It's really strange. He was like, but Hagrid, how am I to pay for this? I'm like, no child ever. No child ever. I'm older than Harry Potter, and I would have been like, I'm really sorry. How am I, I don't have any money. How am I going to pay for this? Like a human, Harry Potter's I say, Hagrid, how is one supposed to pay for one's wand? I'm just there, absolutely creaming, with laughter. And then they go into, the magic tavern place, and I'm just like, Tiff, why is everyone from Oliver Twist? They walk in.
It's like Tory Potter and the philosopher's I don't know, jewels or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's it's very strange. And then they're in the Hogwarts, and the janitor dude with the very pretty cat, to be fair. The janitor dudes like wander around, and I just couldn't help myself. I was like, hey, look, Vagan's looking for them. He's going to teach them to steal things, and then they go and steal things, and I'm like, wow, I don't remember Harry Potter just being like, it's so funny, and we go to the Harry Potter.
Oh no, the caretaker.
Yeah, exactly. All right, governor.
It's a three-headed dog.
Exactly. Like, it's so good.
Get him, Ron.
But they played giant chess, and I was just like, dude, that is wicked. Like, giant
That
chess,
must have been pretty cool.
or a full-size, like, so it made me think, like, if I was insanely rich, like, if one day I win the lottery, or, you know, I don't know, find out I'm related to Bezos.
If you were from where the kids in Harry Potter were from,
yeah, right,
and you had that,
I would pay for full-size live-action Blood Bowl, and it would be the best pay, like, for TV. So Dana White, who's the UFC dude, he's got 750 fighters. Okay, that means we could have about 60 teams, and we just hire UFC people, and we line them up, and we play Blood Bowl with them, and when Blom blocks another, they have a 5-second fight to see what happens. It would be amazing. It would be
like
amazing. Yeah, it would just be like, right, go. No, okay, cool. That's a push. You move back one space. Jason Statham lookalike. That they all look like Jason Statham, to be fair. But I don't know. I've got on a proper like sidetrack rampage here. But I've just had such a busy week, and I
don't even think. Oh, sorry. I was going to say I don't even think it's that far away. Like, I mean, I was talking to you earlier about this week. So I did video game design at uni, and my initial project idea was integrating augmented reality into tabletop gaming.
Yes.
And you could just have like AR cameras when it becomes the technology becomes cheaper, more readily available, more wide scale. You can have AR games of Blood Bowl where you have the animations from the video game, but you can control it.
It'd be like,
you have I want this player to move up.
It'd be like Star Wars chess.
You could watch them brawl. Yeah.
Let the Wookiee win, Ben.
Real scale.
Oh man, it'd just be so good. Like, it's just so, I don't know. It's been a fun week. It's been a non-stop week. I've literally haven't. I need to sleep more, even though I've got some. The great thing about being in Winchester is that I had to take a call, and I parked up in a Sainsbury's car park to take the call, and then I realised that Sainsbury's sell my favourite strawberry and kiwi energy drink. So I walked in and bought like 36 individual cans of Pink Bolt Zero, and then discovered that they don't have a quantity button on their till, which I find outrageous. So this poor old dude was like, how many do you have? And I was like, 36, I'm really sorry. And he's like, I was like, 36. He was like, oh, I don't have it. I have to scan them all. I was like, no, surely you can just like type in 36 to do this. He was like, no, they took that away from us. And I'm like, what the heck is going on at Sainsbury's where they're not allowed to put the quantity in? I was like, dude, like, I work in retail. That's like a war crime. Like, what they're doing to you is this is Geneva Convention stuff. I mean, on the scale of things that are wrong in this world, the Tory Garden Party is quite high up there. But then there's Sainsbury's taking away the quantity button at the till and punishing their troops. Just be like, how many you got? 7? You better scan it 7 times. Yeah, it's just brutal. And I'm like, if they did that in my company, like, our partners would, like, some of them would die. Because there's just a quality of life thing. Like, it's not okay. Like, it's annoying on the iPhone that when you're watching Netflix on your phone, you can't turn off all your notifications. So that when you guys spam in the WhatsApp group, it just keeps coming down. Right? That's a crime. But there is the ability to stop people from putting in quantities on a checkout is just torture. Like, if the EU didn't hate us so much, I would contact them about a civil and human rights violation. But like,
oh man,
because I felt like an absolute
poor guy.
I was just like, 36. I'm really sorry, and he's just like, beep, beep. And then if you scan it too quickly, it doesn't work. It's just like, I'm going to be late for my meeting. I'm just going to rock up with like 2 Sainsbury's bags full of sleep. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's been my week. A week in the life of Bonehead Ben. But this weekend is going to be fun. Tiff's working Saturday, so I'm just going to focus on chilling out and doing some content, which is great, and trying again catch up with messages and emails and stuff. And then we're watching Harry Potter episode 2, Attack of the Spiders, on Friday night, which is going to be cool. And then she's off Sunday, and we're doing something. I don't know what it is. I assume she'll let me know. I can't remember. Oh yeah, the giant spider.
I don't understand. I assume she'll let me know. I can't remember.
Me too, Siri. Me too.
Episodes in a row, I swear.
Yeah, I know. No, the giant spider in Harry Potter world was not okay with that.
You were prepared for this. I remember you saying you were nervous going in.
Like,
it's bad. It's just an animatronic, though, right?
Oh
like,
yeah, it's obviously not a real spider because it is the size of a van. But also, my mind is like,
yeah.
Hello, mate. That spider's the size of a van. Is that okay? And like my inner system's like, no. This is Cthulhu level of madness. Like there's 8 arms. They're moving. Why are they moving? And they're everywhere. It's horrid, Ben. It's literally horrid. Spiders
are like above you as well. Do you have the ones that kind of
have to walk underneath them, and they're going up and down, and it's just like the worst Halloween situation. Tiff's like, but it's not real. I was like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't like stuff above me. It's very weird. This is why I can't go in oceanariums. And when we went to the Scottish
sharks above you.
Yeah, I can't deal with it, man. We went into the Scottish Museum of stolen stuff, and like you go in and there's loads of like squids and sharks like above you. Properly creeped me out. Like Tiff's like, are you okay? And I'm like, my neck is exposed. It's just like, what's wrong with you? I don't know. Like, give me my hood. Weird. So yeah, apparently my only fear, I'm not afraid of death. I'm not afraid of failure. I am afraid of big things that are not real above me. And I don't know why.
Okay.
And it's terrifying. It's terrifying. Anyway, thank you for this session of therapy. I appreciate it. Listeners, I am very sorry. Okay. I am very sorry, but I'm
through it.
Well, I'm just hoping that in some way this will make some people feel way better about themselves. So, at least you're not scared of giant spiders made of coconut hair. Anyway, yeah, so I think it's best that we skip to the next segment now. The next segment is going to be our interview with John. Ben couldn't make it because he is a trumpet star. Left-hand trumpet, right-hand keypad. Left leg.
Left-hand trumpet.
Left-hand trumpet.
No, no.
Right-hand keyboard.
That's impossible.
Left leg. Tambourine. No? Is it the wrong way around?
No. No. It's fine.
Anyway, Ben was at band practice. So I couldn't make it, and I booked it at a poor time. But we did get to spend a good half an hour or so with John, who is Brutefun, who designed the Black Orc team and has moved on to designing the Lizardman team and is designing something else very cool that is not lizards or orcs. So enjoy, and yeah, we'll be back in a second. Okay, and we are very lucky today. Bloodscythe Ben is sadly at band practice right now because he actually plays the trumpet in a band, which is quite cool. But I have been joined by John from Brutefun, a 3D sculptor extraordinaire, I'm going to declare you, as I have done. How you doing today, John? You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. A bit humbled, but otherwise, yeah.
So
excited. I watch a lot of your stuff. So.
Brilliant. Well, look, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. This is Brutefun. Okay, this is the chap who sculpted the Black Orc team. Has just dropped a completed Lizardman team with some awesome star players and big Croxigors. I was downloading. In fact, yeah, I finished downloading them now, which is cool. So I'll be printing them soon. So I'll be doing a print to pitch video for that team soon. So yes, John graciously agreed to spend some time with us today to talk about 3D printing and things like that. So did put a post out on our Patreon. Got some great questions for John. So John, first and foremost, how did you get into Blood Bowl?
played. A friend of mine got me into it probably 15 years ago or so. Just went over to his house and he had I've always liked miniatures, always liked orcs. And so he was like, "Yo, you want to play this football game that has orcs in it?" I'm like, "Okay." Like, never been a big sports fan in general, but he had me at orcs.
Yeah.
The game was right fun, and then the Blood Bowl on the PC came out, so we played a lot of that, and that's mostly been my experience with Blood Bowl. After that was the computer games, and then very recently, maybe a year and a half ago or so, taking a stroll around my neighborhood and saw a couple people just outside playing a miniature games with some guys. So I overcame my natural shyness and just like, "What are you guys playing?" And they mentioned Blood Bowl. I was like, "Holy crap, I know that game!"
Yeah.
And so that's what got me back in. And then I got my nephew into it, so we've been playing fairly regularly.
Oh, fantastic. Well, you're an orc coach, so is orcs your main team? Is that what you like at the moment? Is it black orcs? What flavor of orc?
Yeah, so originally so before the new edition of Blood Bowl came out, orcs and lizards were my favorite teams. Like, again, aesthetically, I really really like the orcs, and then I also really like the lizards. But then playstyle was I had more success with the lizards overall, so I was like, gravitate towards. You don't play to win, but losing every game is great either. So.
Yeah, sometimes it's nice just to take the gloves off and put down that lizard man team and just be like, yeah, this is much better.
It's also because the friend that got me into Blood Bowl is a real, like, his favorite team is Skaven, so
Yes.
it was nice to have pieces that could keep up.
Yeah. Actually, I think Skaven Lizardman matchup, I'm a huge Skaven coach, love them, but lizards, they have the edge. They can just destroy you and keep up with you. It's broken. I love lizards as well. Really love lizards, and I really love your lizard team. So I'm just going to quickly cut the screen to the other screen where I've got your post up here, so we can have a look at the Lizardman team as you're going through. I mean, I absolutely love this sculpt. So I'm not surprised you've gone from black orcs to lizards for your first two teams. That makes an awful lot of sense. I mean, let's start with the Black Orc team. Let's start with the Black Orc team with your sculpting. Picked up Blood Bowl, loved it, came back to it. What made you start sculpting? Is it your job, or is it just like I wanted to sculpt some stuff?
So quite literally just did it on a whim, and because I was bored. I've never 3D, like, I think if my only 3D sculpting experience before September 2021 was maybe 15 years ago in 3ds Max, where I tried it for 10 minutes and didn't like it. But I've been drawing, and like I do like actual like clay sculpting. So I had a skill set that translated to digital, but never did anything digitally before September of last year. Then the blitzing black orc from the team is literally the first thing I did, like my first thing ever made 3D.
That's amazing. That was actually the first one I printed of your team. I was like, right, let's print it 100% scale. Let's see how big this guy is. Awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
The scale issue.
No, you tell you what, every 3D printed team, the scale's different. And you know what?
Yeah.
The thing is, every Games Workshop team's scale is different. I was really blown away the other day when I used the dwarves as a scale comparison, and I was like, hang on, these guys are really small compared to like the other teams. So, and then there's the Elven Union team. So bear this in mind if you're ever going to be sculpting any Elven teams. The Elven Union dudes are flipping giant. They're at least 110% scale. The Wood Elves, 90% scale. So it doesn't matter. And the beautiful thing about 3D printing is if you print a dude and he's too small or too big, you literally just scale him up or down, and you can, brew it up however you like, which means it's great for finding a cool model and then printing it ogre sized for a big guy on your team. Anyway, so you got into the sculpting with the Black Orcs. That first Black Orc was the one you did. I mean, how long does it take you now, I guess, to sculpt a dude? Because you've just knocked this team out in what feels like 4 weeks tops.
Probably a bit more. It's been so doing this for about 4.5 months now. Done 2 teams, which is 16 plus 22. I suck at math. That's
They're nearly
20.
40 now, yeah.
Yeah, so 38 models. It depends. So the big guys take a lot longer because it really is an exponential effort with just even small increases in size. Like the stunties, actually, I'm really proud of myself for the skinks. Um, I managed to do 2 in a day.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the skinks look
Um,
brilliant. The skinks look brilliant. You
that's
really
that's
nailed it.
that's my favorite star. That's my favorite. I'm really proud of the snake.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think that'll probably be on the first print, I think, for this. Because, I mean, the sculpts are absolutely brilliant. The dynamism is really, really, really good. Now, one thing that, I mean, is undeniable is that when it comes to this style, they're very similar in Games Workshop style. Is that by design? Is that because you like the aesthetic?
Yeah, it really is. So like to address a lot of the so for the black boards, I never had any intention to like publish and sell or anything. I literally was just making this for myself. Um,
Yeah.
Essentially, think of it as just a different form of fan art. Um, and then when I posted it on Reddit just for some feedback, it was like, "Hey, I made a thing. What do you guys think?" Uh, got some positive feedback. It's when I posted the troll that I had demands of making the
Oh,
files available.
yeah. And that's entirely fair as well. That troll is brilliant. Like the troll, like I mean, the team is brilliant. The Black Orc team is brilliant. It does have a lot of key aesthetics that are similar to the Games Workshop one. I was like, oh, sweet. We've got more pieces for a Black Orc team. And then I saw the troll. I was like, oh, the team is fixed. We have a cure. We have a cure for the random just.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't like the Blood Bowl, the Games Workshop Blood Bowl troll.
No,
The pose is just unfortunate. But also just
very strange.
the aesthetic. Um, and then I just because I have actually I have it right here because I made one just with green stuff. Like I made this guy. I don't know how well it'll translate.
Oh, brilliant. That's is that based off is that fully sculpted? Is that based off the Rock Gut Troggoths?
So it's a Troggoth, and then
Yeah.
I sculpted like Black Orc armor on him to make him fit the team, and also just with the idea of a trained troll as opposed to just a
wild troll. Yeah, for that extra +1 on the loader, which is a massive impact.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love my trained troll. I don't think I've failed a loner yet.
Ooh, there's a curse.
And now, of course,
there's a curse. I want to get a message. I'll share it with the podcast. You're like, yeah, failed a loner 4 times this game. Just been stupid the entire time. No, absolutely brilliant. So, what so far has been your favorite model that you've sculpted?
It's actually my second Black Orc, the one that's like really just like has his arms splayed out and is basically just daring like come at me.
Oh, the fight pose guy.
Yeah, and the one that has like the Hannibal Lecter kind of mask with the nose ring.
Yeah.
That's like that's probably my favorite. Just that mask has always been like my absolute favorite Black Orc mask of any fantasy of any style across like games, and like I've always just loved that particular like GW Black Orc head so much. So but yeah, other than that, that's been I really liked how the star player for the Sora star player turned out.
The Sora star player, this one here. Unfortunately, Colts wouldn't load that particular image first time. This big boy in the background with the kind of predator claw.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks absolutely chonky. I mean, I don't know. Did you play Warhammer? Like, were you involved in Warhammer in the olden days? Back in the square base days at all?
Yeah, Fantasy Battle. I had orcs.
Yeah.
Because never really played because I was very young, but I just remember going into a game store once and like the sub was like, holy crap, they make little toys of Warcraft orcs.
Yeah.
How little I knew.
Yeah, did you see the cool StarCraft stuff on the other side of the shop?
Yeah.
No, because this guy absolutely has got that throwback look of the temple guard from this guy needs to be painted blue, like, because it just looks like the old green based temple guard guys, and he looks brilliant. Really really cool piece of work.
Yeah, and that's something like that. That's what I was going for. Like I wanted like a kind of temple guard source, because originally too, when I was before I started with like I was planning on giving everybody some kind of helmet, like a skull helmet. So I was juggling the idea of like a triceratops helmets for everybody, or I don't know how well you know your dinosaurs.
Medium, not as well as my best friend's kid, but you know.
Pachycephalosaurus.
Yep, the one with the big long. Yeah.
No, those are the.
Oh, that's Parasaurolophus. Sorry, yeah, Pachycephalosaurus is the one with the bowl on his head. Yeah,
the boneheads ones.
Yep. I get my Pachycephalosaurus and my Parasaurolophus mixed up. It's terrible.
It's a
terrible problem.
To everybody. Happens to the best of us.
No. But, I mean, I've got to say, the Crocs is amazing too. Like, Croxagores. I mean, Games Workshop have waited forever to release one. And just over the last kind of year, like, drips and drabs of really cool ones come, and yours has landed up there as well. The great thing is, with your work and the work of everybody else out there, one day when I run out of topics for a top 5 Friday, I can put out top 5 third-party Croxagores now, because there's that many great ones.
There's one that I really like off of Cults that kind of inspired me to, like, because I ended up doing that. So the Crocs I just did as a palette cleanser, because I was tired of doing orcs for a bit. And then when I was done with the orc team, I was like, well, I already had the Crocs, might as well make lizards. But yeah, as I started working on it, and then GW released their Crocs, I'm like, huh, okay then.
Yeah, that's kind of always the way. Now, talking about inspiration, palette cleansers, so many people have asked, what's next for you? So, I mean, is there anything you're brewing up at the moment that maybe you could hint as to what your next project might be? And judging by this timeline, this will be, what, in January?
Yeah, it'll be out tomorrow.
Oh, spoilers. Scoop.
I know, so it's... So the next team is going to be High Elves. But before I get to... So right now I'm just working up the foundation model for the... Well, I'm basically working up a universal humanoid.
Okay.
Because I'm new at this, and I'm essentially learning from frustration. I'm basically designing a universal template to work from that'll make posing especially easier.
So is that akin to the old sculptor's dolls, where you've got that armature and then you kind of repose and build up on that? Is that how that works?
That's how I'm approaching it, because the software I'm using, because a couple of people have asked just on Reddit and stuff like that, is Blender, which is a free open source. So it's great, because who doesn't like free things?
Yeah, well, yeah. The camera takes a little bit of getting used to. I found, but you are probably all over that now. But because you got
actually, that's one of the things that I really liked with Blender, because before that, my experiences have been 3ds Max, and I briefly tried ZBrush, and ZBrush apparently navigation is like I couldn't get into it, so I found Blender to be much more intuitive to work with, which was nice.
Blender's good fun, but it's really interesting. Like, when it comes to sculpting, you've got to have an artist's knack. You've got to be able to visualize building something, creating something, and then you kind of level it up when it comes to digital sculpting, because anybody can technically grab some green stuff and just their thumbs and make something, but you have to be able to both be able to kind of visualize the creation aspect, and also have the technical ability to right click the correct amount of times and to disable your hotkeys and move the camera around in Blender and do all the work. It's really interesting.
To be fair, something that exponentially improves the user experience of digital sculpting is a tablet.
Okay. Is that how you do it then?
Yeah, because I draw digitally too, but Yeah, so just a pen tablet. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. And that, like sculpting with a mouse, like you will ruin your wrists in like a week.
That's my experience has been. We got hold of a 3D, a great 3D model, and I wanted to sculpt an alternate face for it.
Yeah.
And I downloaded ZBrush, downloaded Blender. Blender, fine. You know what? You got the little cursor thing in the corner. You got to click and stuff. And once you get used to it, it's all right. And it was challenging. It was good to do. Like I did the alternate face, and I was like, you know what? I've printed this. I've done this. That's fine. I'm okay with this. But yeah, I mean, having that interface, man, that actually sounds a lot nicer.
Oh, it is it is night and day because when I first downloaded Blender just to see if I could, you know, and just try again because I was bored looking for something to do. So
It happens,
all right,
especially last year.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was for the first week I because I didn't know where my tablet ended up. It ended up being stored away, so I didn't have it. So was using the mouse for about a week, and that motivated me to nope, I'm going to go find it, and I'm not sculpting until I find it.
The old storage issue. Yeah, no, I don't go into my storage unit unless I really need something or Tiff really, really decides to need something. We went to Harry Potter Land at the weekend, and on the drive home, she was like, "Oh, where are all our Harry Potter books?" I was like, "They're in storage, sweetheart." And she was like, "Oh, do you think maybe we could go to storage tomorrow?" I'm like, "Okay, yeah." So tell me, first thing I did that next day was go straight to Waterstones and buy a new set for her because I was like, no, it's in storage. But I mean, a tablet is not a set of books, so yeah.
Yeah, and again, to be fair, luckily I didn't have to. Storage is in my house, so I didn't have to travel anywhere. I just had to move a couple boxes.
Move a couple boxes
Um,
and dig it out.
but yeah, so to answer like what I essentially do is because Blender has some really neat tools. The problem is my computer is maybe two steps above a potato, so there's a lot of the features in Blender that like they'd be nice if I could get them to work, but I also don't feel like sitting for 2 hours waiting for it
Yeah.
to process something.
Yep.
So because there's a way where I can make a just a solid mesh and then put in a skeleton and then animate it or pose it, and then it'll do all the deformations for me. However, that's a lot more intensive.
Yeah.
So instead, I just end up sculpting in kind of what you said, an an artist's like reference doll, or just something that you can pose a kind of a maquette, or what I like to call, for lack of a better, an action figure. So we'll just
Yeah.
all the
Perfect.
segments, and then pose everything individually, manually.
Tiny digital GI Joes that you can add Triceratops and Pachycephalosaurus heads to.
Yeah.
And then
And then
and then print them.
yeah, and that's a couple thing. It's because I don't have a 3D printer myself, so that's one of the other big things when I first started publishing after people started asking to ask for the patrol. I'm like, okay, well I'll put this up, but I have no idea how if this is gonna work.
How to take it to print. Yeah, like here's the STL, like here's the object file, like go crazy, but
Yeah, and then and then I had it in my head like, okay, it's probably gonna be easier if it get printed in several pieces. So I'm like, I tried cutting it, and then hopefully this works. If this doesn't, here's just a whole model. I had no experience, and I haven't really looked into 3D printing, so it really was just I started doing this more as just an art project, fan art kind of thing. With the eventually would get my hands on a printer and you know work that headache out. But it's when
oh yeah,
people
that's
ask me
it's a
to put
hobby
that out.
all of
When
itself.
people ask me to yeah, when
Um
people ask me to put that out, then I was like, okay, but good luck, and if it's broken, let me know, and I'll try to fix it.
well, I've got to say the troll is the only one of the models that I printed in the pieces.
Yeah.
And it fit together perfectly. So congratulations. I assumed that had been a trials of your labor of like, right, print. Ah, damn, it doesn't quite work. Right, let's reprint it. Because every time I print something, there's a chance that you're going to have to learn from that and do it again. But the troll came out perfectly first time, and I think you've got it pre-supported in there as well.
Well, it's so that's something else. With the pre-supports weren't done by me. This was just a very kind and helpful person that bought the files. Is like, well, I supported them to print them myself, so here's the files. because I don't have a 3D printer, so I don't know what to do. And the other thing too is, I could try supporting it, but because I have no way of validating if it would work, I would
Yeah,
rather just, here's the files unsupported.
definitely.
I'm not gonna have you put in trust that I know what I'm doing.
Well, whoever that was an absolute legend because they did a great
Yeah,
job.
he's named in all the files as Ethier,
Oh,
which
brilliant.
that's his username.
No. They did a great job. And I mean, love the Black Orc team. It came up beautiful. Very excited to see where you're going with the High Elves. What pushed you in the direction of High Elves? If you're a Lisbon and Orc player of old.
Well, so I basically wanted to make a team that's not a series of brutes and little guys, for one. Um,
That's fair. They have a similar makeup.
but also it's just something that's a bit different. That's something that I would find a bit more challenging is just making. It's weird because the challenge itself is not going to be so much in the because anatomically they're basically humans, and
Yeah.
I know enough about anatomy at this point. But it's just trying to find an aesthetic. And I was originally going to do dark elves, but then somebody mentioned that, like, well, if you're going to do elves, do high elves instead because we need models.
We do need models. There's a couple of teams out there. I really don't think I've seen an STL team, what I love for High Elves. But I will say they're kind of the favourites to be the Games Workshop release. So if you smash it like you smashed the Troll and the Croxagore, and then Games Workshop go and drop a High Elf team.
Well, again, I don't think I'm going to be eating GW's lunch anytime soon. So, and I'm not trying to either, because uh, because it was a fair point with what you brought up in the print to pitch, which I love the video, by the way. I watched it several times. I even watched it today just to brush up on some
Brush up.
things.
What did Ben
Um,
say about me? Let's just.
oh, it was beyond. The video went a lot better than I thought it would, especially for like easy to paint, and that they translated really well. I was like,
It
oh,
was. It was great. I chilled out. I watched The Witcher season 2 and just sort of painted away, and it came up brilliantly. And I was like, "This is actually really, really nice to paint." This was so. It's just I'm not looking for stressful painted models anymore, and
well, so
it was
the
perfect.
lizardmen hopefully aren't so bad.
Well, I think this, because of the way the texture is brilliantly done, by the way, and the level of detail you've gone into the armor, I think this might be where I start playing with some contrasts to see actually how quickly I can paint it up, because the detail is right there. So actually, I haven't done a lot with contrasts, and Army Painter have got a new set coming out that's very much like contrasts.
Yeah,
So
speed paint, I think.
yeah, the speed paint. So getting quite excited about that. But actually, I've got one contrast paint and it's brown, and I use it for basing. So I don't, I don't feel like that really qualifies me. So this is. I was thinking about it earlier. I was like, this might be the time where I bust out some contrast paints, and
Yeah, and that was my aim, at least for the scaling, is because a couple people on Reddit have sent me some pictures. Somebody sent me some pictures of them starting to paint, and at least for the skinks, and it looks like the scaling works beautifully. Like it actually comes out very well. For the Saurus, most of it comes out. Some of the smaller scales on the tail don't seem to. But he said it could have been because of the base coat or whatever. But also, I guess they kind of just merge into slightly bigger scales, which works.
and you know what? When it comes to that level of detail, I love detailed models. It's great fun, but these are for gaming. You don't need them like super deep. These do not need to be micro scale World War II ships with rigging. Like we don't need that for Blood Bowl, because these dudes are going to get knocked over, right? Even the Saurus, they are going to get knocked over. Black
Yeah.
Orcs will see to that. I know a really big troll that will probably be able to do it, and so it's fine. Like this is excellent detail without being just unnecessary, which
Yeah, and that's so I think and this is where like I'm trying to, and this because I'm still learning. So a lot of it just like I'll release this and then hopefully everything works out, and then uh, people aren't generally shy on the internet to say, hey, this doesn't work. So I'm happy to take that feedback into because I can fix it or I can improve.
that's
Um,
awesome. That's such a good attitude to have. I mean, aesthetic wise, nailed it. I like that you got the different heads as well for the lizards with the I don't know what's
The mouth guard.
yeah, mouth guard, the dentistry piece, which you've got
Yeah,
bang on, by the way.
Yeah, and essentially the reason for that is simply because I have no idea how well this will print. So I was like, all right, here's a version that doesn't have this in case this is too fiddly that you can't remove the supports without breaking it off anyways.
Nah,
Because I don't have
that'll be fine. I actually,
because
I
I
think
don't have a way to validate yet.
yeah, I think I bought the first one you released, and started pre-supporting it, and then something happened, and I went and did something else. I think I've had a failed print, and it took me about 4 days to front up to going outside, putting the gloves on, and scraping the detritus out. It wasn't one of these that failed. It was every now and again I get really excitable and print loads of like BattleTech stuff that I really don't need, but I support it, and I don't do that very well. So every now and again I take the plate off, I get really excited, and then I realise I've got a whole mech missing, and it's in the bottom of my resin tank. So I never got around to printing the first one, but I started looking at the pre-supports, and actually because of the way the scales roll, you roll them onto their back, you can get the pre-supports going into the base of the scales, and actually the face mask just prints itself, so you shouldn't really need any support. So it's not going to be a problem, but that will be my challenge now. This is good. I like this. I got bullied by Ian Triple Pow Triplo, our 3D printer kind of correspondent, for a while because I hate pre-supporting my own stuff. I've started getting better at it now, so this is it. The key is just having something worth putting the effort in to try and fail first.
Well, I mean, to alleviate your future woes, at least can't do anything for it now. But I did use some of the proceeds from the Blackwork sales to get myself a 3D printer that should get here around April.
Oh, fantastic! Which one did you go for? Which one are you?
Went for the Frozen Mini 8K.
Ooh, okay, 8K, nice, very nice.
I just did a bit of research and ended up being it has the highest resolution per square inch. So it's 22 pixels per inch or something.
Well, just for anybody out there watching, I've got the Mars 2 Pro, and everything prints out just great. So, and I had the Mars 1. I've got the Mars 1, but that was an electrical issue, which led to me rage buying the Mars 2, and everything printed out great on that. So you don't need like a Saturn, or you don't need like a $500+ printer to print out this kind of model at tabletop level. Not by a long shot. The Mars 1 is probably $200 now, and actually you will be able to print stuff great.
Probably one of my favorite pictures. Someone sent me, so you can actually find it on Cults, because they actually did. Because Cults, you can do a make and then link it to the file that you made. But somebody sent me a picture at some point of they printed one of the Blackworks on an FDM printer.
Oh wow!
And yeah, you could see like the layering, but it turned out surprisingly well. And I was like, oh, okay then. It almost seems like I know what I'm doing.
Hey, if you sculpt well, it will print well. That is a genuine, true story. Okay, cool. So the Black Orc team went well. The Lizardman team looks amazing. I'm very much looking forward to printing that out. I'm excited for High Elves. Hopefully everything goes all right and we get a cool team with that. I mean, one of the other questions is, have you thought about doing some star players? That was probably before the Lizardman team landed with some cool star players in.
Well, yeah, so that's well, technically the Troll was a star player too.
Was it Ripper?
Yeah. That's why he's also, but then because this is actually the second take on him, which, with the hand had to be remodeled because it wasn't quite table friendly. Like the pose, the original pose was a bit more to my liking, but unfortunately the hand was outstretched way too much. You'd have to basically put him sideways to face anything.
It's the downside of tabletop sometimes, is you're supposed to fit the dude in a 34mm square.
But again, I appreciated the learning experience. I was like, right, this is a consideration I have to make. Like, this can't just be like a cool epic model. It has to work as a game piece.
So we got. So you're saying we might have a collector's edition coming of the Troll?
Well, the original files are there if anybody wants to print it. And again, it's just him with his hand slightly more outstretched, and he doesn't have his hand like on the ground.
Yeah. I like the
Uh,
3-point stance. It is very, very cool.
but yeah, so the troll was technically a first star player, but then just he works as just a generic troll too. And then yeah, the two 3-star players for the Lizardman team. And then technically there's a fourth Lizardman if you count all the Croxagore options. Because that was the Croxagore too, was an exercise in can I make a model that has a lot of alternate options.
Okay.
So that's why he has like if you find the picture with the Croxagore, there's like 4 heads.
Oh, wow. So I can print off a Croxagore team. Excellent.
You could. So yeah, so the Croxagore ended up being he has 4 heads, basically one version of each with the mouth guard and without, and then there's one version that has a feathered headdress, the other one without. So that's the one without the headdress. And then he has just an empty fist or the punch dagger, and then he has 4 different sets of legs, mainly because there's one where you can have skulls on his loincloth or no skulls. Then there's one, and then I very recently decided to add a bit more bling to his tail, because his tail was basically bare compared to the rest of the team. So I was like, let's make him match a bit more.
Okay,
And then I figured
that brings up a really, really solid question then that I have to ask you. How do you know when to stop?
that's yeah, I don't think I'm good at that question. This is where the Sora star player, the one with the Triceratops skull, is that's the one I'm most looking forward to seeing pictures of printed and painted, because that's the one where I'm like borderline is like, did I go too far? Like that's the one I'm actually curious to see, because I actually have because the other thing that I really really appreciate is 3D printing communities pretty damn chill and awesome.
It's just creating stuff. It's just pure best of humanity in one spot, but also you kind of have to be a little bit of a chemist to get it right.
But the reason I bring this up is because I don't have a 3D printer. However, I currently have, so this is the Krogs that were printed up.
Oh wow!
Because someone was kind enough to just print them for me and send it to me.
Oh, that's so good. Right.
But they also printed my Blackworks, which was very nice.
I'm gonna bail on that. I think my internet is pushing its limits, which is a shame. But no, the Croxagore is absolutely sweet. Okay, I just have a couple more questions that our guys on Patreon pop through. When it comes to miniature companies, do you think that 3D printing, 3D sculpting is going to be a long-term liability, a long-term threat to them for the way they operate?
Not particularly. Main reason being, especially at the stage it's in, it's like you said in the videos, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And even if somebody puts in a lot of the work for you, like with the supporting and all that, but you still have to. There's still a barrier to entry that's pretty high, and even at the prices, like even though they're much more affordable now, it's still like if you're only going to print one team, you're not going to go out to buy a printer just to do that team. There's that. Two is even if it does come to the point where you can get a 3D printer that'll do everything for you with very little muss and fuss.
That's the dream.
For very 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 cheap. You adapt or die. Essentially, it's GW or any other of the big companies. They can
dip into it too.
I'm pretty sure they have enough. They've made enough in the past that they can tackle this problem on their own and make alternatives. Because at the end of the day, too, this is just options. Like my team's not meant to replace the GW team. It's there. Like I just made a Blackwork team that I thought would look cool, and then people said, "Hey, can I buy that?" I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah, and it worked. I was one of those people, which is awesome. But no, I completely agree with you. It is options, and when it comes to 3D printing, it's very much the same as like Grebo or Punga or Fanath, the third-party teams. They make Blood Bowl stuff because Blood Bowl is cool and they like making Blood Bowl stuff. Having a 3D printed team versus having a team from Punga Miniatures or something like that, it's exactly the same. And you know what? These guys have been around for a long time. Third-party stuff has been around for a long time, and all the primary miniature companies doing just fine. So
yeah, that's another point to it too. Is like I'm Games Workshop. Like I love their models, and that's probably like the biggest compliment I got out of that print to pitch was that they were like qualitatively similar. I'm like, holy crap,
yeah,
because I don't know what I'm doing.
actually, when it comes to the 3D printed stuff, when with the Games Workshop plastics, you have to have flat spots. If you're doing those big sprues, the 3D printed stuff doesn't need to have the flat spot. So like the Blood Bowl Orc team, not the Black Orc team, but the Orc team, there was a lot of like underbits that were just kind of G.I. Joe trouser territory that was just kind of round plastic. 3D prints, they don't have that element. Now, I don't want to paint all that element, but
you don't have to pull them out of a mold, so you don't have to worry about
exactly
any kind of undercutting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was something that's the appeal of it. For 3D printing is that you can get more organic, more just
more complete picture.
Just better, a better design, but
you get a bit more freedom when it comes to it. Actually, I think.
Yeah, exactly. You have one limitation that's been completely removed. You have others, however.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, we'll see about that when I print off the mouth guards.
Yeah, that's the thing. Most of the options are really just like, I don't know if this will work, so I'll make an option that doesn't have it.
I cannot tell you how much we appreciate that. Just as people who are 3D printing, like just the extra options are so good because like that doesn't work. I'm not going to bother print this guy instead. It's just so helpful. Really, really is helpful. But I have one more question for you that was asked for our patrons, which I think is an absolutely brilliant one. If Games Workshop come to you and they say, "Hey John, how'd you like a job?" How would you feel about that?
I would say no. No, mainly because I like Games Workshop's products. Can't say I'm a big fan of many of their business practices, so it's
yeah, don't mention Warhammer Plus. Yeah,
let's just say it would be a very significant offer for me to say yes. And so
no, that's brilliant. I just thought it was an absolutely brilliant question out there because we've seen this happen. There was a guy called Windsor Chog who did some great sculpting for Blood Bowl, some great big guy sculpting, and then had to shut up shop because he went and took a job with Games Workshop. And we're seeing some of the star players that are released from Games Workshop now, and they've got a lot of the design elements that Windsor used to have. And we're looking at these and we're like, I'm pretty sure I used to pay £12 for this model. Now it's Forge World.
Yeah, and again, this is like when it comes to like pricing and things, it's for me, I've just been pricing them as this seems fair. If I sell like 20 of these, then I'm okay.
That's perfect. That's what we want to see. But hey, I mean, John, that's awesome. Before we wrap up, is there anything you want to add or anything? Where can we see your work? Where's best to follow you? Sounds like Reddit's a pretty great place.
Well, yeah. So because this was all started on a whim, and I'm still figuring some stuff out. I'm basically figuring out like a social media presence, which I love, but might have to bite that bullet. Reddit is where just the Blood Bowl subreddit is usually where I'll post like the models as I finish them. Although I might stop spamming the page for a bit. Probably looking into Patreon or something like that to possibly set up. That might be a better alternative.
Yeah.
So
consider me signed up. So yeah.
So for now, it's basically just Reddit because I don't really have a social media presence.
Hey, you've got to do what you enjoy. Like the creating of a social media aspect, you've created two great teams, and you know what? Found them without much pomp and circumstance. I stumbled across it. Like don't go doing stuff you don't enjoy because it's not worth it.
Yeah,
Reddit's
also-
working. It's yeah.
And then for like cults, the reason I uploaded there is quite literally because when they were asking for the troll, I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't really know where to post this, and cults was the first option that I was given. But okay, let's try that. But there's My Mini Factory that I can look into.
Yeah, yeah. Those are the two big ones. That's what I look at every night when Tiff's telling me about her day. I'll be like looking through. I'm like, well, what cool stuff's on My Mini Factory? But what cool stuff's on Colts? That's where I found the Black Hawk team. I was like, oh, let's scroll by new. What we got going? What is this? What is this? And then yeah, the rabbit hole was discovered. And a very happy night that was. So that's absolutely brilliant, John.
I'm happy that the team is to the people's liking. I did this for me, and it's great that other people are like, that's cool.
Super cool. Your work's excellent. I appreciate it. More Blood Bowl is more better. That's what we go by. And actually, you are massively contributing to that. So thank you very much, John. And thank you very much for spending some time with me tonight having a chat. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
To make sure. Nice. Awesome. Look, please keep us updated. If you've got some cool stuff coming up, we've got some cool updates, we'll absolutely share it on the channel. And this team will definitely be on the channel in a couple of weeks' time. Because
fingers crossed that everything prints well.
Yeah, I am going to load up on some contrast paints. You know, I think this is the team for that. I can do some double learning, printing face guards, and try not to suck at Games Workshop paints. So
That's Pete.
That's brilliant. Right, thank you very much, John. We're going to move on to the next segment. And we're back. Hopefully you enjoyed our little interview with John. It's very cool to talk to someone about it, especially at that end. I mean, I thought it was really good that he was very happy to talk about some of the design influences, because when it comes to 3D printing, when it's something that's similar to what's already out there, it sparks that the typical debate of, is 3D printing going to kill miniatures manufacturing, which it clearly isn't at the moment. Like, maybe if printers get so cheap and so accessible and the files are omnipresent, then yeah, it could kill it. But we're miles away from that. And it's really cool just to hear that actually this is just something that John likes doing. And the reason that the team looks like the Black Hawk team is because he liked the Black Hawk team and wanted to do it for fun. And I think that's excellent. Like, that's...
I have so much respect. Yeah. It's really, 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 really cool.
It's amazing. He's just picked it up and started sculpting. And the Lizardman team is just like superbly done. And I'm very excited for the High Elf team.
Infuriating. Infuriating. It's like, how long have you been sculpting, John? Oh, like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like,
September, I think he said. Like, so 4 months in, that's it. I was like, right, so next team in 3 weeks then? He was like, oh, we'll see. I'm like, bloody hell.
Yeah.
I like that he's moving on to High Elves. Again, it was just like...
I know, that really caught my attention.
Yeah, I thought I should have messaged you while you were at band camp, actually. But yeah, it's that could be really cool. But I think I'm just more excited that he gets to face into that challenge of like, right, I've done orcs, I love orcs. Lizards are kind of like the same build style, like little dudes and big dudes, and lizards are quite... Not hard to get wrong, but actually there's nothing to say what lizards look like. But he was talking about High Elves. It's just like, well, they're humans. Like, this is something that's a good challenge now, and that, you know, got to come up with a cool aesthetic. Not seen it. I'm hoping that we'll get a chance to have a look. But I'm hoping, because he's a bit of an old school Warhammer fantasy player. Well, actually came from World of Warcraft, I think. Came from Warcraft into Warhammer, which is interesting. Oh, dude, if we'd get landed with some 4th edition High Elf style players, I cannot tell you how excited I would be. Like, yeah, man.
That would be really cool.
Yeah. And then
we'll love to see what style he goes for. Yeah. It's going to look phenomenal.
Yeah, really looking forward to that. So yeah, thank you very much for coming on, John. And so Ben and I are going to move on to something that's been bouncing around the community since before either of us were born, and maintains a thing now, and was a massive spike of interest when the rules came out, and it seemed to address this issue. Whether it is an issue or not, that's what we're going to have a discussion about now. And the topic in question is the age-old rage-inducing debate of, is stalling okay or not? Is it a tactic or is it an offense to humanity? And I think it's worth chatting about. Like, before we take more deep dives into rules and teams, which we get to start playing with soon. This is kind of like a really big thing. So Ben, I mean, you've been on Facebook, Reddit and stuff. I'm sure in your time you've seen a couple of people talk about stalling, whether it's okay, whether it's not okay.
I haven't seen so much of the recent discussion. So this will be going in with pure opinion. I haven't really checked my thoughts and feelings with the wider community yet, so I might be really incorrect on this. And I'm more than welcome to receive comments saying this is why I'm wrong, because I love seeing that. So
the comments in the community, none of it is different. It has been the same forever. With one additional twist. So let's set the scene. So stalling as a tactic in Blood Bowl is when you have the ability to score, but you want to run out the clock from a solid defensible position. Now, we'll talk about whether or not it's a valid tactic. Spoiler alert, it genuinely is. The argument has been, if you can score, you should score so that we can play the game more. And that is actually because then we get more turns. We both get to make more choices and we both get to have a more engaging game. Versus, I'm playing to win. This is a game that, generally speaking, you do play to win. And it's about that. There is a sliding scale when it comes to the stall factor of it. It is no fun to take a knee. It is no fun to just be like, right, stand, pass. You can't do anything. It just creates that passing of activation, that passing of gameplay. Now, that's always been in Blood Bowl, and it's always been a factor because the rules allow that to happen, that allows that situation to happen. And it is a win more kind of situation, which is why people get so angry about it. But the twist that's come is that in the Blood Bowl 2020 rulebook, it talks about what stalling is, which is if a player with the ball can score without making a dodge or anything like that, then they are considered stalling. And it only comes into play with one roll on the Flavors of Nurgle. No, wait. The Prayers to Nuffle. That's it. Yeah. It's been a long week. And I think it's like one roll on the one chart. And if you are stalling, technically, there's another roll and you might get blatted with a rock. Like, that is the rule of stalling. So the only twist that's come to the stalling conversation recently is, well, clearly Games Workshop don't want it to be a thing because it wouldn't be in the rulebook otherwise. So let's start talking this through. BT, we both played many games, and it gets to the point where you want to stall. I mean, what's the advantage of the ball carrying team to actually stalling? What's the stalling advantage?
Well, you're putting the opponent straight away on the back foot. Like, you have the upper hand and you're forcing them to make unfavorable decisions out of desperation, right? Like, there's a mechanical point of it because, they would have to now take often worse roles, like maybe risky dodges to just get that one blitz on the carrier. Maybe they're only going to get like a 1-die block or a 2-die uphill on it. And also, there's a whole psychological thing, the whole idea of desperation. That opponent is probably going to be panicking. They're like, I'm really running out of time. The longer this goes on, the less chance I have to equalize or, beat them. So I can totally, it's clearly like strong. It's clearly valid and powerful. Yeah.
It's a really strange one. Because from a tactical point of view, it's exactly what you want. Like, I am in a position where I'm protected. I don't need to make any offensive actions. Actually, what I can do is, like you said, Ben, I could. My only defense, the only thing I'm worried about is your dude being able to take 4, 5+ dodges to get a negative 2-die block on the ball carrier. So I'm just going to burn another turn out to stop you from coming back for the win. Or, and this is the other thing, is when you're stalling, is you can also pile on the pressure. Like, I've still got some guys who can make a block. Now, I mean, when do you reckon it gets rage-inducing? Like, on the pitch? Because
It really does suck when you have those bad turns where first roll you do is double skull,
oh yeah, been
and
there.
then they've got like another stall turn, and they just punch you back, and it's like what you said before, where it becomes that win more scenario, which just generally doesn't feel great in like any game. Like win more is something that designers, I feel, do try to avoid.
You want a catch-up
Often
mechanic.
it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Stalling itself can never really be a catch-up mechanic, right? Like if you're behind, you don't often have the luxury of even employing stalling because you need more turns to get another touchdown to win.
Exactly.
So
I've got a couple of suggestions
yeah,
for a way to turn it into a catch-up mechanic, which I did see bandied about in a couple of these threads. But it's that win more element. We're playing a game, but I can't do anything, so you get to do all the stuff. And like within the engine of Blood Bowl, it is kind of hard to get to that point. But like you pointed out, you have to have already suffered a bad game to get to the point where you can't pressure your opponent to score. Like it's already been a drive where you've lost 2 or 3 guys, and because you've had some bad luck, you've had some bad rolls, they've had some good rolls, and now you have to just wait to take a turn again. And I think before we kind of talk about what could be done to change that up and whether or not it should be changed up, I mean, do you think the type of game that you are playing, and when I say type of game, I mean, league versus friendly versus tournament, like, do you think that influences the kind of suck it up ability of this pain, soul tearing pain?
it kind of does for me. Yeah, I feel like stalling is less common in League from just experience. Like, I mean, I feel like I don't know if this might be touching too much on another point, but it's something I'd written down, which is it's unthematic. And I feel like in League we kind of prioritize, the thematic aspect of this is like a sport and this is our team and they really matter. And I feel like I don't know if it's just, this purely anecdotal, and I'm sure people have had other experiences, especially more competitive leagues, but I feel like it does happen less. And maybe that could be a whole variety of factors. Either it is just because people like, hey, they've got to the end, they're going to score because this is football, or they're going to score because it's worth loads of SPP and you get a gold at the end of it and stuff like that. So there's a few aspects in tournaments, though. It is and will always happen. Like I don't think I've had many tournament games where it's never happened.
And you know what? There is something about it being in a tournament that I don't know. It just, yeah, definitely. Like we're playing for a win at this outcome because that wins the whole day. So you want to stack the odds as hard as you can in your favor. And you're right. When it comes to league, there's always that. Ooh, do I get the score now and then go for more SPP? Like that's
it rarely matters in a tournament if you win 1-0 or win 10-9. It's not like or even like 10-0. Like it doesn't.
In fact, it's better for you. The more touchdowns you get,
really niche tiebreaker. That's fine.
Yeah, definitely. Now in friendly matches, you don't see the stall. You never see the stall because you're playing to experiment with drives, experiment with tactics, and you kind of like, well, this is checkmate now. Like this is basically the biggest analogy, is that when you get to a point of a stall and it's checkmate, but the game continues playing. It's like, and checkmate, and we're going to take another turn. We're going to take another turn. Now, when it comes to the stall, I think it is a hugely valid tactic, and I don't think there's no major way that you can do it from a mechanics point of view, because it can happen, and this happens in every game, right? Because in every system there is a way to secure the win. This happens in Magic the Gathering. So Magic the Gathering, huge competitive scene back before it all died, and man, Magic competitive gaming did actually die. That's massive. Never really considered it before, but you sweep your cards. Like you just pick your cards up. Like, yep, you got me. I concede. Like and you pick up the cards, and then you set up for the next game. Like it's just that kind of checkmate. Yeah, no, you've got me. There is a very small chance, but actually, it's not worth either of our time playing that time out. And in Blood Bowl, you can't do anything about it. Like you just can't. Like you just have to pass. And when it comes to like a league, when it comes to the finals, I definitely think you see this because you would take it. Now, I love scoring touchdowns.
That's why I'm anecdotal. I don't often get to the finals.
Like you guys will know from playing the Bonehead Championship, and this is why I wanted to talk it through with you, Ben. Is because the Bonehead Championship, the way we're doing it, we're sharing teams, we're rotating teams, and it is the team against another team being piloted by someone who's working in the team's best interests. And it's not a reflection of your personal record, it's just actually how do these team stories develop. And because of that, we haven't seen a huge amount of stalling, because it's like, actually, let's get one more turn of safety and pile the pressure on to stop it from happening. But if I was playing in a competitive match to win for the league or to go top table at a tournament, I would absolutely stall. I'd apologise for it and be like, sorry, I need to burn another time off the clock here. And it's a really interesting one. But I mean, I don't know about you. I can understand why it feels unfun.
Oh, 100%. I've had a friend of mine I tried to get involved into Blood Bowl was really turned off by it when they observed a game where dwarves just stalled the whole game. And they were like looking at the game and they thought that looks really, really boring.
Yeah.
And they were really turned off the whole game. They haven't really tried it since. So yeah, and it's like I can see why it looks, it is not that fun. Not a lot you can say about it. Like it's fun for the person, or it's not even that fun for the person doing it, to be honest. It'll win.
It's not fun, and I hate it. Like if I'm in a position to I mean, we've played many games, and in a couple of those games, one of us or the other one of us has been in a position to burn a turn or two off the clock, because actually it's the right tactical decision to do. But you do it as quickly as you can. And I think maybe that's something to say is if you are going to stall, do it as quickly as you can. Like set up your castle and then pass. Like don't move every one of your guys because you can, because it's just, if you're in a checkmate position, like once you're fortified, like just be like, look, I'm gonna keep stalling. Just be as open with it as you can. And I think this is something I think you and I, Ben, have mentioned loads of times. It's actually fronting up at the beginning of a game. Like if it's a competitive match, if you're at a tournament, you'd be like, hey, this is tournament regs, like I'm really sorry, but if I can, stalling, like the best way to do it is sit down and be like, hello mate, this is me, like these are my skills, like we're playing a win.
I think that's really good advice for any tabletop game. Like talk to your opponent, what he it's a bit of a cringe line, and this wouldn't actually be a line, but like what are you trying to get out of it? Like have that in your head, but be like don't ask like, what do you want out of this game? Yeah. Like what are you trying to achieve?
Let's build a contract together. Which really, yeah. No, but sit down and say, well, like, just talk her through what you're there for.
Yeah, exactly. Just be like, there's gloves off game, and sometimes both of you are really up for that.
Yeah,
which is great. Or even more importantly, this is not hugely relevant on stalling, but like you said, like, is there anything you don't really know about this team? Like, this is what they can do. I think that's really important. And games like Warhammer, that happens all the time.
And this is why AOS and 40k are just absolutely mind boggles at the moment, is because it's like, well, actually, there's a 7th book, and in that 7th book on page green, there's a yellow triangle. And that yellow triangle means I can spend 1 command point and you can't do anything fun. It's like, oh, this is a great book. Cheers. But no, you sit down and be like, hey, dude, this is a tournament, so if you need to stall,
just let you know I can do this, and I probably will if I get the chance.
Well, yeah, you can do that, or you can put it on your opponent and just be like, look, this is a tournament, so it gets to the point you need to stall, it's fine. Like, I'm okay with it. We're here to win. Like, this is a competitive game. Like, if you want to know anything about my team, that's absolutely fine. Just ask. But you know what? If we got to stall because we're here to win. Like, just, it's okay to say that, especially in like a tournament environment, because you are there to win a game. Now, whether you've got a different contract, if you're playing a friendly, if you're playing a teaching game and you stall, you are a horrible person.
Yeah.
because
Yeah, that is fair.
your job for an introduction training game is to sell the game so they want to play more games. The worst possible way to get someone excited about playing a game is to set up and then not let them play the game. Like, that's the difference here. You're either playing to win or you're playing to have a great game. And there is a blend. Like, training practice games, you're playing to play as much Blood Bowl as possible. So when James the Dwarf Lord wanted to try out Black Orc team, I played Nobility against him, and we just racked up, played a drive, racked up, played another drive. Like, oh yeah, you got me here. Yeah, got the touchdown. Like, let's set up again, and you go through those things. When it comes to League, it is definitely, I think that's where the grey area comes from, and that's where you see the posts land. It's like, I played my League game and they just caged and just stalled for the entire second half, and it was just boring and garbage. And actually, League is really challenging, because we need to do a topic on this one, Ben, as well, actually, whether winning is the priority in League or not.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because there are definitely there's like, you've seen this from us playing the Championship, is actually, what's more important, winning or getting SPP? Well, actually, for the first half of the season, it's getting SPP. Like, and when it comes to a League game, that's kind of, if your mentality is, boom, let's smash together, let's get these teams going, let's get some stuff on the go, let's do some punches, let's do some touchdowns, let's have a great time, and your opponent's like, I need this win, like, they're going to be playing conservatively and not necessarily well, but they're not going to be playing aggressive and hungry like you would be for SPP. They're going to be tournament, which is all about consistency and letting your opponent take the risks. And there's two different sides to Blood Bowl, and when you're playing to win, the best way to win is to let your opponent lose the game. Like, you don't have to win the game, you just have to let them lose. And it's a really tough one. So I get why people get so upset about it, but ultimately it is in the rules to be okay.
That is also another thing, is if we're talking about, we're playing, a league, we're developing our teams, we're, again, because to go on the point of thematic, Blood Bowl is Blood Bowl. It's a game of American football, but it's as equally a game of punching the snot out of the other team. And there are teams which that is what they are there for. Like, they acquire victory through just carnage, damage wherever they can. Yeah. And stalling is kind of the way that they do that. And would that be thematic? It's not thematic for people to stall in American football because they just get tackled by 100 people. If they stall in Blood Bowl, they have armored warriors defending them, and meanwhile other armored warriors punching people to death.
And that's I tell you what, that's something that you actually don't want to think too much about, is how long is a real world version of Blood Bowl going to take? Because it's like 4 minutes. Like, it's not a big time, because if you just, like, if no one's doing anything with the ball, there's only so many times people can brawl before they actually die. Now, there is an element of it that is reflective of American football. Because in American football, if a team is in the lead, they will play slower in the second, like towards the end of a half or something like that. So instead of like rushing up to take the next turn, it would be like if you and your opponent agreed to play a game of Blood Bowl using one timer that was shared with a 2-hour clock, and you were allowed to take a 4-minute turn. Now, the maths don't add up on that. If you were in the lead and you didn't want your opponent to have much time, you would take as long as possible. They do that in the NFL, so they won't. Yeah. They'll let the play clock run down to bring the time down, and that stalling is a rough kind of approximation of that. But
is it a contentious thing in NFL? Or is that just kind of accepted?
It is now completely accepted. But the thing is, the NFL is highly competitive. There are millions of dollars on every game. So everyone's just like, yeah, this is cutthroat, dude. Like, you do what you got to do to win. Like, Bill Belichick's going to film you in the shower to get the inside information on what you know, and to what shampoo you use to give the edge. Like, because you're playing for that high stakes. Blood Bowl, there are no high stakes. The best you're going to get is £100 trophy. Like, it's just, I would love it to be high stakes. Like, I think it would be awesome. Like, if we could get like a $50,000 Blood Bowl tournament, I'd be like, oh, this is amazing. Let's take the place of Magic the Gathering. But there's no money in it to do that. So it's like, actually, what are you winning? What are you winning here? And pride is enough. And actually, sometimes just winning is enough. And yeah, running out the clock is a valid tactic. But I think it comes back to the social contract of playing a game then. And leagues and tournaments take that contract and it's a different version. So you, me, and Trips, we played a wicked game of Brass, right? What kind of contract did we have playing that game, like as players?
To be fair, I just wanted you guys to enjoy it because I was going in there with the experience of it. So, like, I could have been cutthroat and said, suck it up, get good, and then just done all the tactics which I've learned from playing the game. But instead, I wanted to, I wanted to just have fun playing the game, and having fun playing the game is seeing my friends have fun. Yeah. So that comes personally. That might not be for everyone, but
so the next time you play that game with your sister and her partner, or the next time you play that game with me and Trips again, will that contract exactly? And this is it, and that's exactly the same way.
You know how to win.
Yeah,
let's employ the big guns.
That's it.
Yeah.
And there is that weird escalation. So Ian Warhammer, he and I, because we've known each other since we were 4, so that is nearly 30 years. We will be chill. But every now and again, we will have a game, and our ancestors' honor is in this game. Like the last time we had this clash, it was because he used a cheeky corner charge in a game of Warhammer Fantasy Battle 6th edition, and I have not forgiven him for it because it was that level of like, no, right, okay, you're doing a cheeky corner charge, right, this game is on. And the table was not flipped, but it could have been and should have been, because he cheated with a cheeky, dirty corner charge. Typical Age of Sigmar player. Well, my base is slightly bigger than yours, so you lose. Terrible mechanics. Anyway, Age of Sigmar with the stupid conga line. Anyway, that's... Oh, man.
Really hate that game.
I'm just significantly disappointed in it. But anyway, Blood Bowl, excellent game. Tight. You know where you stand at all times. And that makes it even more difficult because Blood Bowl is the closest thing to a Euro game we've got in miniature wargaming.
Pretty much. And it's still a billion dice.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know what's going on. There's no secrets. The closest thing you've got is if someone's running a wizard. And you should always run a wizard because wizards are great fun because it's a randomizer, or the special play cards and stuff like that. But that is such a minuscule factor. But that social contract, I think that's where people struggle is, we played a load of Blood Bowl, so I don't need to win every game of Blood Bowl. Like, I would much rather lose a great game than win a game. Like, I don't want to win 1-0. I'd much rather lose 3-2. Like, that's more fun. Like, let's do some stuff.
We've seen that in the championship. Like, I think there hasn't been a game of play. Oh, maybe there's been one, but like in a lot of games I play, especially ones on the channel which are literally just there because we want to film us having fun playing a game. Yeah, it will be like, should I do that move? Oh, it's not the right move, but it's the fun move. So yeah, I'm going to do it and see what happens.
Oh mate, you and your 3+ dodges. I honestly, and the frequency at which they succeed, it upsets me so much. And I know that's why you do it. Yeah, I know. You've got 4 gutter runners who are 2+ dodge, and you're like, no, I think the journeyman lineman's going to dodge into that tackle zone, and I'm just like, what are you doing? And then it works, and then it rewards him. And he's like, oh, it worked. Oh, I'll do it again. Like, no.
Just need the confidence. Sometimes it pays off. The best dice confidence I had was. I think the signs were early, Ben. It was the first level up I had at a wobble playing Blood Bowl when I said, how does MVP work? You choose 3 players. Okay, I'm going to choose these 3, but I just need this one to win, so I've just got to roll a 2. Okay, got the 2, got the bomber.
Yes.
Hail Mary pass.
Double.
Okay, so I just need a double, right? Okay, I'll just roll a double. Oh, okay, there's the double. So Hail Mary pass.
First time. Yeah,
easy. You just got to say what you want, and the dice will do what you want. And then you win every game of Blood Bowl.
Have you ever seen a movie called The 13th Warrior?
No, no, I haven't.
Excellent movie. Antonio Banderas plays a like Middle Eastern warrior, and he buddies up with some Vikings to kill some stuff. It's a great film. But one of the dudes has like this phrase inside it, which is luck often favors a man if his courage holds, or something, which is basically just like, be bold, like make your own luck, go do it. And it works in Blood Bowl massively. Like, it's just, and it will really, it can be really tilting. And I have never been angry about someone caging up and running out the clock, because I'm like, no, checkmate, you got me. Like, that's fine. Like, I get this. This is fine. This is fine. This is fine. The only thing I've ever been tilted by is the stuff that there are some times where you want your opponent to roll 3 6s because it's wicked, but when they roll 6 or 7, like, oh yeah, all right, well, I can probably do this. It's going to be a 3 plus 4 plus, and then a 5 plus, and then a 4 plus, and then a 5 plus, and then a 4 plus, and then a 2 die up. Oh yeah, and it works. You're just like, I hate this game. Like, I can't. I just hate this game.
There is a part of you that isn't mad though. There's a part of you who just like, fair enough.
No. This breaks through. Like, when your opponent makes a bad roll, you feel bad for them if they fail the first one. Like, you do, especially like if they make a bad roll and like, I need a 3 plus, and it fails, and they roll a re-roll and it fails again. You're like,
dodge to enable the fun stuff.
Yeah,
and
that's it. Like, the first thing, okay, I want to need is a 2 plus dodge, and then I'm going to take a 3 die up block, and they get a double 1, and you're just like, I feel bad about this. Then it's like, okay, I got the first one. Can I get the second one? Can I get the third one? And there's like, basically, 1 to 2 rolls, you feel bad about them failing. At the 2, 3, 4 mark, you get excited for them because it's improbable and like, wow, what a great play. When it is 5 or more rolls that succeed, that's the point at which you're like, this is beyond heroism now. This is fixed.
Yeah, come on.
Like, yeah, this is fixed. Like, no, this is not possible. And then, because I am a very mathy person, you calculate the odds, and it turns out that there's a 1 in 6 million chance of happening. You're just like, I'm just done. Just done. It's stupid. But that is it. Like, if you cage up, if you stall, it forces your opponent to either do nothing in the hope of just doing nothing so that this game ends quick. And that's not the feeling that anyone really is looking for. But it also, like you said, Ben, it will force your hand to, the only play I've got here is 4 bad rolls. Like, it's tough. Like, I'm going to have to go for those 4 bad rolls to bait. And actually, you lose even more. Like, it's bad money. I hate it. Was like our Dungeon Bowl game. It's like, anyway, I need to get through this. I need to try and block this dude and make these 3 bad rolls. And actually, it's the same kind of thing. Sometimes that works, but you need to apply that pressure. The best thing to do is not let yourself get into a situation where your opponent is able to stall out the game. But
that's kind of it. Yeah, right. It's a mechanic of the game that rewards you for punishes you for enabling it to happen. The teams which are hurt by it the most tend to be the ones who can kind of prevent it. That makes sense. Like, an agile team hates the stalling cage.
Yeah.
They usually don't have the strength to break it, but they do have the mobility to get around it and have like backfield pressure.
Yeah.
Things like that. So, there are ways around it. There are inevitabilities.
Yeah.
And it does suck a lot for newer players.
Yeah. And that's it. I think the moral of this is that it's a mechanic. It's a real thing. It's a byproduct of the engine. It's the checkmate of Blood Bowl. Use it wisely. If you're in a tournament, expect it. Declare it at the beginning. Be like, dude, we're playing a win here, so if you need to stall, you absolutely stall. Like, I won't be offended. Get it out there, because you're going to a tournament and you're playing to win. And this is Vin Diesel, Fast and Furious. Winning's winning. Doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Yeah. And that's okay. But like, if you're playing a friendly game, if you're playing a pickup game, I just read your audience and talk through what's going to happen. If you're playing a league game that you need to win, make it known. But the stress of playing a Blood Bowl game that means something to you is a real thing. Like, if you're playing to get into the finals, or you're playing and your gutter runner who's Ag 5 dies, like it's a genuine loss because you have put 5 months into developing that player. Like there's that element there of Blood Bowl will teach you everything you need to know about loss. Like there are 2 things that will teach you about loss. So if you've got children, this is an excellent life lesson. Blood Bowl, like give them a star player and then watch them die. And the other thing that will teach them about loss is any kind of TV show or movie series that you know ends, introduce them to it. And like, you know, oh, do you want to watch Firefly with me? And then when Firefly ended abruptly, you can be like, there you go. And that's what death feels like. And like there's definitely some life lessons. But Ben, stalling.
Yeah.
Thematically, I absolutely could have seen Games Workshop introduce a rule about the crowd, like they did. Like the rule that was in the book was about the crowd getting angry about the players not doing anything and throwing rocks at them.
Happen like 0.05% of the time.
We ran the numbers, didn't we?
Oh yeah, no,
we ran the numbers on a show. And actually, you know what? If there was a rule in there for stalling, and this is this, I completely get why people talk about this in the threads and stuff. They're like, well, clearly Games Workshop want it to be a factor. Like they want it to be a quantifiable rule. So why not expedite that? And why not be like every turn you stall, your opponent gets to roll a dice, and on a 4+, that dude gets hit by a rock and the ball pops out. Like,
yeah, I think the rule they have is a pretty good rule just to put flat in the game. Like if they can move, if they have the ball and they can move closer to the end zone freely without rolling any dice, they have to do at least one square move. Yeah. Otherwise, it's the crowd getting mad. Yeah, I think that's totally fine.
And that's it. Like, and that is what has caused some of these conversations. Is because they're like, well, clearly Games Workshop like know that stalling is a thing, like, so therefore it is bad. And it's a really interesting one, and I don't know any company other than Games Workshop that can almost address something that people are really upset by and make it worse instead. It's like it's like oh, there's a fire here, we'll bring over the fire extinguisher. And then what they did was they put the fire extinguisher in the flames. And you're kind of like, I don't know if that's helped or not. Like you
left it outside, but you're locked in with the fire.
Yeah,
just like, right, it's just out here.
Exactly. It's like, you need a fire extinguisher, mate. Just here. Help yourself. Like, no, no. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, oh, you're stuck inside the car. Roll the window down. Like, oh. Yeah. So they've almost kind of addressed it. And it's really difficult. And I don't know if they've put it out there because Games Workshop, they're not a hyper-competitive system. They like company. That's not what they are. It's what they want to be sometimes, but it isn't what it is. So they expect you as a group of people to be like, oh yeah, let's make a house rule for this. To your taste. Like this is like, hey, this is a recipe book. Season to your taste. Add the sauce that you like. Like build your own burger style. We're all like, no, we want the recipe, we want it done perfect. Like one rule for all. It just doesn't work. Sometimes a coach will want their team to run the clock down, opting not to score when they easily could. Other times the team gets so caught up in the violence of the game they simply forget to score when they have the chance. This is a perfectly valid tactic, although in some instances it can be risky. If at any point during your team turn a player belonging to your team meets all of the following criteria, that player is said to be stalling. The player is open, is unmarked. The player has the ball. The player is able to activate and perform their declared action without needing to roll a dice first, so they don't have very angry, they don't have, in fact, Tateroot would be one of those. If the player is able to move into the opposition's end zone without needing to rush or dodge, failing to activate a stalling player before your turn ends, even if it ends unexpectedly with a turnover, but declining to score a touchdown is stalling. That is it. That's a really quantifiable rule. So the easiest way to fix this would be for them to, and I think this is what we talked about before, Ben, is like actually we kind of expect them to have a stadium that's just like proper angry fans. Like this fan base is entirely made up of people who like Facebook, and if a player stalls, you roll a d6, and on a 4+, the ball carrier gets knocked down. Like that guy stalled, roll to see. It's like camping in video games. Like it's just a thing that happens. And
It's very, like you say, it's quantifiable. It's easy to pick up. Like, it's easy to know if they are stalling, if they're not stalling. You just got to roll that 4+. And I think that it just puts risk on the winning player. So, which is currently something which they pretty much completely lack. You know, if you're in a stalling position, there's not a lot of risk.
Yeah.
So you're usually free to do whatever you want.
And it should just be a proper brick. I mean, it was Christmas recently, Ben. You probably watched Home Alone, one of the 17 of them.
Honestly, no.
No.
I think I've only ever seen it once.
Well, there's one scene in, is it the first one or the second one? I don't know, where the main guy, Marv, who looks incredibly like an American football player called David Carr now, which is amazing, just gets hit in the head like 4 times with a brick launched from a roof.
Oh, I do know that's, yeah.
It's horrid, right?
You up, isn't it?
It's really horrid. You're watching it and you're like, oh my God. In fact, I've been like...
Full damage.
Yeah, falling down the YouTube rabbit hole every now and again. There's like, they get like, doctor reacts to movie injuries. And I was like, well, all right, let's give that a click. And the guy's like, no, this is awful. Like, this child is... what is wrong with this child? Like, and how is this guy not dead? Like, one brick to the head, he'd have serious fractures. Like, he's got away with one, that's fine. Oh, he's been hit again. Like, how is this... his brains would be out. Like, the only way to explain this is that this guy is Wolverine. Like, it's like... yeah, it's horrific. But yeah, and that's it. You know what? If stalling... I don't think it would have been the worst thing in the world if they said, hey guys, this is now a thing. It definitely takes away the tactic, but it doesn't take away that choice. And it's a really interesting one. So I guess the message here, guys, is that if you go into a tournament, just be open with the fact that it is a competitive mode. You are playing competitively and your opponent is likely to stall, and you should stall if you're playing for the win. If you're playing a friendly match, if you're trying to train somebody up, don't stall. Be like, right, now in this situation... you know, in a competitive game, I could probably run out the clock and you'd have really difficulties like freeing it up. But let's rack them up again. Like, let's rack them up again. And a league game is probably the danger zone where there will be a Nurgle team, a Dwarf team that actually their main mode of winning is with mega, no fun, legitimate blue mage control. Like, like they're just noping you as if they're playing Deathwatch in 40k. And like, oh, sweet power, bro. 1 command point. Yeah, can't use that ability. Yeah, he was crying about it again the other day. Yeah, no, I loved it. That's revenge for cheeky corner charging, Ian. That's right.
What we should do is, well, this again is subjective because it's a subjective topic. But it would be really interesting to run a tournament where this was a thing across all games, purely for data. You need some very understanding players who would be willing to forego, you know, the usual stall tactics in tournaments.
Do you think it would warp the meta? Do you think it would be a case of, maybe I won't play a bash team. Maybe I'll switch over to a mid-range team instead?
Possibly. Because, you know, they benefit a lot more. Like, I mean, dwarves without stalling struggle. So, we'll see. Well,
if you think that dwarves aren't fast, go back and watch the game I played against Ian Warhammer. I played goblins. He played goblins, I played dwarves, and I probably rolled more go-for-its than ever before.
That's true. Runners are still movement 6, right?
Yeah, blockers are movement 6 with a couple of go-for-its though, Ben. Trust me on this. And that was when the internet was like, you really do play every team like Skaven, don't you? And I'm like, my little like midget guy with armor 17 is running around. I'm like, no, he's not fast enough. Roll. And you know what? That's fine, because if they fall over, they're armor 17. Like, don't worry about it. These guys could take more bricks to the head than the bad guys from all of the Home Alone movies together.
Thick skull.
Yeah, exactly. Thick. They've literally got thick skull. Exactly. A little. I might get on Hero Forge and make like a little Macaulay Culkin model to be the Goblin Bombardier and just put a brick in his hand. There you go. That's a great idea.
Only play him against dwarf teams.
Yeah, free player against dwarf teams. Oh, he's been stalling. Okay, you get a Bombardier next drive. Have a great time. You get a Bombardier right now. Yeah, have a great time. Amazing. Okay, Ben, Is there anything else do you think we should add about stalling? Because we've talked.
I think we've given several cents. Yeah, I think it's just, again, I think you summed it up well. Speak to your opponent, cards on the table. It's going to happen. Maybe also address employing that kind of Games Workshop rule, so you can still do it with some risk. Because I think that seems pretty fair.
Yeah, and it's just interesting that they defined the problem without solving it. It's absolutely. But that's because they expect you guys to decide what it is and how you want to play. That's how we all want to do it. It's really interesting. Like, really interesting. Anyway, I think we should probably wrap up for there. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode, you enjoyed the interview, and you enjoyed me just raging about stuff. So I appreciate you guys listening to that. Sorry about that. I apologize. Maybe it's funny. Maybe it'll make you feel better about what's going on in your world. Anyway, Ben, thank you very much. I've bent your ear off twice now this week. It's been wicked.
It's all good. Enjoy it.
Appreciate it. Like, literally guard for the soul. And yeah, we'll wrap up now. Guys, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to help support the channel even further, please like and subscribe, or come join us on our Patreon. We have early access to content. We get loads of feedback from you guys, and we try and do competitions as much as we can. Or you can get yourself some Bonehead Podcast merch on our Spreadshirt site. So if you want to support a team, especially for the Bonehead Championship, you can pick up a shirt, a mug, things like that. It all helps support the channel, and we really appreciate it. Anyway, links below. Thank you very much. Happy blocking. What do we got?
Just saw stalling tactical.
Yeah, don't read this out loud. Yeah, I wondered if I was going to bait you into it. I thought it'd be quite fun. I listened to a podcast that's actually now dead, which was had Riley Knight and his buddy. It was a Magic the Gathering podcast. It was Scry River, and they just try and beat each other in the show notes. So when there's like an introduction to a segment or anything, the other one will just go in there and just randomly put swear words and stuff just to really, because Riley wants to keep it, because Riley's a teacher, so he tries to keep the content like PG, and Dennis will just chuck in like swear words. So when Riley's doing an introduction, because he just full on Will Ferrell's it, full on Anchorman's it. And it's just absolutely brilliant when he just starts throwing Charlies and Foxtrots in a mid-sentence and then gets really angry and then doubles down on the swearing and has to edit the whole lot out. It's so good. So I was like, oh, you know what? See if we could do this. I know I have to do the editing, but we can't have another Bravo word in there because we'll get told off by Trips again.
Oh, yeah, true.
Ooh. Anyway,